Here's a case in point. I know exactly where these two bucks are. They're betting. Like, I think very consistently.
Pretty close to each other.
One of them I would shoot. It's a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Corn suit and go sit in the pile of corn and just get this over with. This is the beginning of the year.
Googly eyes on the corn.
Just cobs hanging off of you.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Hoyt.
What can we say, man? Another year back with Hoyt. We're both shooting RX8s. I'm shooting 70 pounds in the bourbon, which I love bourbon.
It's great.
And you're shooting 80 pounds in the straight black.
Blacked out as always, man. I got the, so I'm shooting the 500 grain Easton Arrow this year. And at 80 pounds, I'm flinging that thing at like 300 feet per second. I mean, it's deadly. Put a water buffalo in front of me and he's done.
I mean, we shot it earlier. You literally put an arrow through a brand new target, like never been shot before.
I know. So one other thing that Hoyt is doing this year is they're making all their own strings in-house. And so the quality is top notch, and it just really is something that is setting them apart from their competitors.
Well, what we always try to do when we go to our bow shop, Ultimate Outdoors, is we try to shoot other bows just to make sure that we are really giving everybody a fair chance. Sure. The reality is it's a no-brainer. Hoyt stands above all of them every single time.
Definitely. And so right now you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, for 20% off any apparel on the Hoyt website. And as always,
get serious, get Hoyt. And we're back.
Hey,
HUNTR Podcast, episode 216, as Nick continues to keep us in line. Yeah. Thanks, Nick.
Nick, are you settling on that? I actually wasn't waiting. It's just where my mind goes to. Usually here, are you settling with the mustache and scruff beneath?
I don't know. Typically I shave like once a week.
It looks pretty clean though. It's more like a mustache and a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like it. I think I might go clean shaven for the weekend, but
like clean and stash clean shave.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Keep the stash.
Well, I mean, it might take you like 8 weeks to grow that back.
Yeah. Well, I can actually grow pretty fast.
Oh, you're gonna save the stash?
No, he was gonna shave it all.
This is like 2 weeks.
I'd keep the stash.
Yeah?
Yeah. Looks good. Looks really good.
If you shave it, you're going to get carded like crazy.
I know. I get carded a lot.
Yeah. I think that, and because I'm in favor, because I'm kind of doing the same here. Mine is not as strong, but the 5 o'clock shadow beneath with a once a week reset maybe. Once every other week maybe during the rut.
Yeah.
But keep the stash. That's a strong... Yeah. That's a power play.
Yeah, thanks. I do like my mustache.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Hey, thank you guys for being here.
Holy cow, we were that far deep.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. So, hey, thank you guys for being here. Whether you're listening on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, we appreciate you guys being here and tuning in for this. We drop episodes every Tuesday and Thursday night at 6 p.m. You guys can give us a like, a follow, or a subscribe, whatever is appropriate for the channel. One of those will give you a notification as to when we drop those. So that's kind of cool. If you've written us on Instagram DM or the website, we appreciate you guys reaching out. I got caught up a little bit here, so hopefully you've seen a response from us. If not,
we'll get there.
Apologies. We will have some live from deer camp stuff coming up, so maybe that's the opportunity to tune into that. And we do read all those comments, and we'll respond in real time, so that's even better.
If you're listening to this on the 5th, it either just happened or it's about to happen.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little late on that, but
just happened or about to happen.
Yep, and we'll do some more.
Yeah,
and we've got some merch on the website. I find myself wearing. I got a T-shirt underneath here, and Jeremy's got a water bottle, and it's cool stuff. So we appreciate you guys supporting us in that way. Pretty cool. And here we go.
It is October 23rd that we're recording this, but
Binger this week. We're sitting at this podcast table for 2 full days.
A lot. It's also 80 degrees out.
Oh yeah, it was strategic. This was supposed to be tomorrow, but tomorrow is a cold front. Yeah. Now you're confused. Yeah. Usually I
think I just seizured.
Yeah. I left the office yesterday and my car was 98 degrees inside.
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. I wouldn't drink that milk.
Bad choice.
Yeah. It's, it was cooking yesterday. It's cooking today. But yes, we have a cold front coming in tomorrow on the 24th.
Some bucks showing up.
Got some bucks showing up. That deer?
This buck showed up in Illinois overnight last night.
Yep. Looks good. Probably all over high 40s, 50 as an 8.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I had him, too. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, high 40s, 50. Should we read mine?
Tomorrow being the 24th, I think I killed that deer on the 24th and that deer on the 25th. So it's always a good time, at least in Pennsylvania, for good days to kill.
Man, I think I could be wrong, but that may be the only buck I've ever killed in October right there.
Really?
Might be.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been
First week of November.
First or second.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the muleys in September.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't kill a lot of October bucks. I must not be very good at hunting. Or patterning, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the way it goes. Man, them bucks just started doing buck stuff like
so weather
about
dependent in
now.
October, though. That's the big thing.
Wow, I can't blame. I've had good weather patterns, it's just.
A couple good ones.
I've had close calls.
Yep. Yeah, you've seen them.
I have seen them.
You have seen them.
Yeah.
They exist. So yeah, if you're listening to this, hopefully we either just did a live from the Midwest Deer Camp or we're about to do a live from the Midwest Deer Camp. We don't know yet. Just kind of depends on timing and weather and when we feel like doing it. And service, obviously, big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And but we are probably in the Midwest as you're listening to this, whether it is on the 5th or the 7th. We're in the Midwest at this point. Whether we're in Iowa or Illinois, I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you right now. One of those two,
up
though.
in the air.
Yep, one of those two.
Where the wind takes us.
Yep, and so yeah, just kind of looking ahead. That's what we got. Like I said, we got a front here in Ohio and Pennsylvania coming through tomorrow on the 24th of October, and then we've got another one on Saturday into Sunday. Right? Yeah, Saturday into Sunday, 26th and 27th.
Yeah. Sorry, my mind was tracking. That's how cool my wife is.
Okay.
This morning, she was like, she made these dinner plans like for the 29th with like some of our employees at the Dairy Mart and stuff. And it's like a really hard to get into place. Like they take reservations once a month.
Okay.
And she's like, hey, we're going to book it for the 29th. And she said this a month ago. And I was like, cool, I probably won't be there. Just
yeah.
It's
assumed.
It's understood.
Assumed.
And she's like, okay. But I just,
But we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, great. And as things were going on here, like last week, I think I told her, yeah, it looks like we're probably going to be in Illinois. And she's like, okay, like, is it okay if I tell so-and-so they can come in your place? I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure.
And then this morning, our plans have changed with the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And she's apologizing to me.
Because she invited somebody else.
Because she put somebody else in. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
You're letting me just run wild all of November. Like,
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'll be okay. Just bring me back a doggy bag of food.
I said that was pretty wild. She was apologizing to me. I was like, are you kidding me?
She's like, I do
whatever I
bringing
want.
Nick actually instead in your place.
Yeah.
So Nick's just going to keep the mustache. He's going to wear a hunter hat. He's going to put on the Hoyt vest and be like, hey, I'm Jared. Jared's standing today. It's cool. So anyways, we've got a guest today. Sometimes it's just Jared and I when we talk and ramble like this in the mornings.
Yeah. Speaking of this antler here, Chris Brackett was with us when we found it, almost ran over it, and he's been helping us with some projects on our Illinois farm. He happens to live pretty close, and I think it's been about a year since we had him on formally, so.
Give or take. So, we're going to bring Chris on. Obviously, this is dropping first week in November, so why not talk about slaying big bucks with Chris Brackett?
Let's get him on.
Hey, how are you?
All right, man. We appreciate the early morning from the Midwest.
That's 2 early mornings in a row for me. It's not November. I don't normally get up before like 9.
Yeah.
We thought about, what did we think about? 8:30 today, our time, and I was like, Chris will never do that.
Yeah, it's an October morning. He's not getting up early.
I got up and there was deer all over the yard. A couple of little chilling out in the front, like I was interrupting them for breakfast.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful morning. Like when are you guys' leaves like completely changed? Because out here right now is the most breathtaking scenery.
We're on it as well. Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which surprisingly, because I don't know about you, Chris, like we are bone ass dry out here as well. Like we have not got substantial rain in quite some time.
Yeah, I think yesterday was the first time that we've had something that like you could hear through the roof. We were filming the new show yesterday, and like in the middle of it, you heard the rain come down, and like I completely lost my mind.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's raining. We gotta go hunt. And so I actually went last night and passed up one of my really superstar young dudes. And it wasn't like the deer refreshed, but it finally like the aliens let loose of them, and then they were actually walking around last night. But it has been Death Valley here. The leaves are changing, everything's dry. I don't know why they're locked up. Like Bobby Kendall and me were talking, to either feast or famine. You either had one big buck, probably up until last night, Jared. Like that was the first.
Did you have a shooter? Did you have a shooter show up overnight?
I have one on my home farm that he's just doing the 365 thing. Like I'm just trying to beat him on the 365, and I just haven't had the consistent south winds. And so last night I had this weird feeling. I'm like, Jody, I got to go. And I jumped in the truck and I drove for like an hour and 15-minute hunt, slipped in the back, and he comes right out of the switchgrass right across, hits the scrape, does the thing, but wasn't the deer. It was a baby. But you could see how fast it could happen and just be on it. So like the plans are working. They're just not consistent, but it's like real feast or famine. The guys that are killing big bucks they're on them, and the suckers aren't leaving more than 150 yards probably.
Yeah,
like they're not wherever they are. They just are.
They're tight.
They're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not walking
at
all.
Yeah, kind of weird. I mean, here we are sitting, October 23rd. We've had a couple, like, I would say pretty significant cold fronts in October. And there's quite a few deer optimistically that I'm like, like he should have shown up by now. I found sheds. Like, I think he should be alive, and haven't seen him.
I told you. Didn't I tell you? Yesterday we were complaining about, or you were like worrying that nobody's going to show up at the Illinois farm, and it's like that.
Yep.
Whether that's one or two different bucks.
But we've seen that deer before. This deer. We
Not this year.
Yeah, we have.
No. Don't worry, Jeremy. It's definitely an older guy thing, because I've been kind of worried.
Yeah.
I had to call Chris last night and be like, dude, don't worry. It's fine, man. I did that with both you guys yesterday.
All the leaves are changing. Like right now should be little, creeping along, hitting all the scrapes. And you would go out to the woods and you go, oh, it's October 22nd. I actually did this October 22nd. And I'm like, where are all the little like scrubby rubs, and every little bush should be trashed. And I'm like, where is this? We're awful far into October.
Yep.
Not have these things.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I guess it's more of like a spidey sense. Maybe it's the calm before the storm. Today, right now, when I was outside, just before I came in the office, it is overcast, dark, heavy. You could feel that west, like that heaviness rolling through. I watched some cameras today because after you told me this morning that you had a new one, I looked on my camera and I've got 3 new ones that showed up. Nothing super duper, but 3 that I have not had a picture of.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting. Like into the point, like I'm always a worrier when I'm like, where are these deer? But a lot of it's because I've killed a lot of deer between the 23rd and the 30th of October. But most of those deer, like, I knew existed before then, right? My move was the 24th to the 30th, but I'd seen them prior. I'm in several places, Kentucky kind of, but Pennsylvania for sure. Like, I'm not even in the game. Like, I'm not even in the stadium, on some of these deer. Like, they're just not there. Which is just, it's odd for it being, like I said, the 22nd or 23rd of this thing.
I've been enjoying your little adventures in Pennsylvania in the mountains. I've been watching.
Dude, it's been fun.
Is it Hunt Companion? What is Hunt Companion?
Yeah. It's just us.
That's like our new series. It's just like a little tag to follow us through the season. Just like a little weather report. It's like Winky's Whitetail Watch.
So that's when you're in Ohio doing your Ohio thing, and Jeremy's investigating all the mountains in Pennsylvania. And that's what I'm getting.
That's our update. Yep.
Well, we got a couple different things going.
That.
Chris and I've been talking about structure because he's working on his show and stuff too. So as of like a month ago, we started doing 2 podcasts per week instead of 1. We started doing like a lifestyle piece. So Jeremy and I are filming now. So we drop one every, Fridays? Sundays.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Lifestyle is Fridays. Yeah.
Fridays. And then while we're doing the podcast, like usually we'll shoot a 15 to 25 minute Hunt Companion. Which is just like brief update for the week.
And some of it is because, if we get into a stretch of guest, we don't get to update like what we're doing a lot. Yeah. And so... Yeah, so it's our chance to kind of just catch everybody up in a 30-minute segment, and it's been fun. Like the Pennsylvania stuff's been really cool, man. I've spent more time in the woods in October than I have in probably 4 or 5 years because I'm just scouting mountains. I did whatever. I think I was up to like 21 or 22 miles in the mountains last week, just walking and finding bucks on and dropping a camera here, drop a camera there, and. Yeah.
I'm a fan. I say keep it up. I have referenced I have referenced what my friends, you two, I don't have many friends, so you guys are either unfortunate or
we'll call us in the fortunate category.
Yeah. So like when I get questions in, and somebody's talking about Pennsylvania or talking about Ohio, I use a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing because you're keeping it up to date on all the shows, and then a little bit on the YouTube, and then a little bit on you guys are more
stuff
on Instagram than you are Facebook.
Instagram stories is probably where we post most of our live stuff.
I think it feeds through. Like I think we post stuff to Instagram and it just goes to Facebook. I don't ever actually log into Facebook.
Yeah, me either.
Jeremy,
I like not our hunter stuff. My personal
your personal
stuff. Yeah.
I like it because you know me, Jared. Like you know my pet peeves. We talk so much about. I'm all about the hunt companion because I really think that this industry needs to come together.
Yeah,
and I really like finding out what's going on in Ohio of a guy that's telling me the truth. I like it, what the Pennsylvania thing, what somebody's telling me the truth, and then when you go to Kentucky, you're telling me the truth, and it's like I can trust these guys. They're not selling me stuff. We're friends. But we also like the cool gear, and I've referenced several times that you're going, on your traditional kind of, are you on like you're on like a pilgrimage, like finding your roots, aren't you, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Like, started with the trad, and then now you're in this, I'm going to walk 22 miles into the hills of Pennsylvania, which I've never been. So like when I see your Instagram stories, I've never been in the hills of Pennsylvania. So it's kind of cool for me to see. And like, you're kind of on this journey.
I am, dude. I am in and it's kind of weird.
Jeremy makes himself a water hole and then looks at it and says, "Who am I?"
Yeah, who am I? I part the waters.
Water hole.
Yeah, no, it's been a cool. We've talked about it on here. Like I've been super guilty of chasing pictures for at least 5 years now from a cell cam standpoint, and so. On my Kentucky and Ohio farms, I'm running SD cams this year, which has been cool, but like it definitely has been a huge adjustment because like I just don't know. I don't know what's happening, and that as a kind of a little bit of an OCD guy on the whitetail side, like that freaks me out. So, when I go to the mountain, it's like all I'm doing is trying to find, I'm looking at a map. I'm picking a spot and saying, based on terrain and wind direction and stuff, like this is where I would be, coming through at least as a buck. I go up, I find buck sign, I find a scrape, I drop a cell cam. So I am using cell cams there. And I drop one camera and I'm out. Like all I want to do is find them and then I'll macro back out and say, cool, how do I kill them?
Yeah. So you've identified that he's on this hillside or this mountain or this cut or this thicket, and then go like, all right, how can I back off it? How can I pull off the X and then like dissect that?
I don't even want to get, I'd like to have at least a couple pictures of him, like so it's not just a random ass event like he was passing through. But like once I know like he's in this block, then it's like camera doesn't even matter to me. It's weather, access, and where am I going to kill him?
And really not age, just straight up hunting.
Yeah.
Like 120 deer, roll through, doing deer stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking.
Home.
You haven't backed off your standards at all.
No, not really. Like I've got a pile of.
What are standards for like PA?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've got a pile of 3-year-olds on camera that I'm not even hunting. I'm not going after them. Not even thinking about them. I haven't sat for them. Haven't done anything. I've got 2, maybe 3 4-year-olds and 1 5-year-old on camera, which would be all of those guys would be considered targets for sure. And it's just right now. So actually, it'll be tomorrow here. So the 24th, since we aren't going to have a pod, I'll probably hunt. I hunt mornings in Big Woods, which we can talk about. But during the afternoon, I'm going to go and pull 3 or 4 cameras from other areas that are not being productive and get a second camera in some of the locations of the target deer to see if I can't back them up closer to their bedding. Because now it's, I'm pretty distant. So yeah, it's been, not to mention, like we just talked about, Chris, like it's the most beautiful time of the year. Like I'm walking straight uphill, old logging roads, 1.5 miles to get to this, little saddle up on this knob, and I'm sitting up there at the top.
May have some multi-floor rows or something.
Yeah,
make it extra.
Freaking greenbrier up there and stuff. And I mean, we've been raining red oaks in these areas, But I'm just cruising through, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, okay, a little bit of rub here, little rub there. that's a decent rub. Boom, hammer scrape, and now it's like, okay, do I push closer? Or is that good enough for inventory? Because that's all I want. I don't care if it's at 3 a.m. Is he there or not?
I preach it, brother. Amen. Like you are doing like that. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I almost didn't care if I spooked out the buck I was after because the woods was so pretty.
Oh, it's
I tried
insane.
to talk my wife into going. She just didn't have her stuff together. And it was like, I went walking down through, my farm where it goes below the pond. And then that red oaks, black oaks, maples.
Yep.
And,
lit.
The switchgrass, and I slip in the switchgrass. I break the woods, and it's just right before they fall. Everything's yellow. And I took so much time getting to the blind, just going, looking around and whatever. And I'm like, man, I don't know in years, because I had shit to prove after I got off my timeout. The first year was like, I got to kill the biggest stuff I can find.
Yep.
And that last year was really fun, but I was tagged out fast. It was like, boom, boom. And then like this year, you guys may see me shoot a spike. I don't know. I'm in a whole different place with Mom gone and like loving it and figuring out what friends I want to pour into and like how I want my experience to go down. And killing a mature 5-6-year-old is probably the easiest thing for me right now in my life. Hardest things, marriage and friendships and which direction to go in business and whatever. But to go outsmart another buck and shoot them is probably the easiest. But I got a compound bow in my hand again, so I'm kind of excited. No crossbow. Little bitty poundage. So I'm loving the journey. I'm loving the journey of whatever you're calling it, whatever segments you're doing. Like, keep it up.
Yeah. It's been fun, man. It's it's been a big reset. We talk about it all the time, and that, let's say from October 1st to November 5th, you got 60 days. And if you get too deep in it or you work yourself up too much, like there's no worse feeling than, basically feeling frazzled in the best time of the year. You look forward to it all year long, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this anxiety almost of like, I don't have a buck. Where am I going to go? And I can't. And you waste a week or two doing that, and then next it's mid-November, and by the time then it's Thanksgiving, and it's like it's over. It's gone. It's gone. It doesn't happen anymore.
And Jared, I'm just waiting for like the picture of like Whitetail food plotters of America and him just sitting in a water hole with his shirt off.
I had a calendar this year. I had a vision of me. This is gonna sound real weird.
It's okay. You're amongst friends. You're in a
when I hunted
2 dragons.
When I hunted, imagine mystical. I was sitting and I texted you that day, Chris. I think I was sitting in that Easy Gate stand, which is that water hole that we made this year, and it's glorious. Like, there's no way. The picture can't even. I got this acre Brassica field here, pinches up with the switch in the ditch up to the water hole, and this big bean field out here and stuff. And it was like I had a
bang and bang and the switch in the ditch.
Perfect wind, cold front, and so that water hole is created by like a little culvert we put in, and we dammed up this easement or this waterway or whatever. And I just had this vision of me smashing that 7-year-old 6-point out of it and dragging him back to the culvert and taking a big grip pictures of me like on the culvert over the water hole.
Yeah. Success.
Jeremy's down in the water with the camera right above
That's
the
right.
water.
Splash a little bit up on me for some moisture.
Wearing a snorkel.
Yeah, what's that deer's name? This is the funniest part. Go ahead.
Lebrowski, as in the big Lebrowski. HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by DeerGro.
Man, we've been using DeerGro products for a long time. The Plot Start and Plot Boost, more recently Plot Till. Now we've got 3 new liquid fertilizers that have been put in the mix that will cover everything we could want for a food plot program.
It's huge, man. The more food plotting we do, it's like, man, the liquids just make sense. Like whether it's herbicides or the Plot Start and Plot Boost, and now the fertilizers getting mixed in. It's like, man, I can combine all of those in certain cases and do less passes for more results.
I mean, it's all about efficiency. I mean, like you said, less passes. If you're out there treating your beans with glyphosate in the summertime, you can mix in this fertilizer, do that all at once. You have the boost in there to help some metabolism. It's all about efficiency when we're talking about food plots. And really the big difference on these liquid fertilizers is you're bypassing some of these soil limitations, pH limitations. the soil type. In a lot of cases, we talk about dry fertilizers only being available for 17% of what you put down in the first year. These liquid fertilizers straight into the plant are 90% available in the first year. Huge difference in what you're going to see in growth.
It's huge. And so right now you can use code HUNTR15 for 15% off any of the DeerGro products on their website. And as always,
better food plots, bigger deer.
My producer, my new producer, he doesn't hunt. Well, we were talking about naming deer the other day, and we're gonna try to name one Big Molasses, and he's like a big, slow old deer. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love it.
Sounds like an Aunt Jemima to me.
Yeah.
Uncle Jemima.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick would give us too much hipster.
What do you do? He just disappeared. Look at him. He's just gone.
Oh, he's editing.
We basically gave him permission to go and edit while we do these now, just because he's got a lot on his plate.
A lot of content
from a production standpoint.
Good work. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, he's a workhorse.
Mm-hmm. Dude, naming bucks is something that it's a delicacy, but it can't be forced. You know, like my dad and uncle, and I get it because it gets confusing if we don't name them, because I'm like, oh, that big 8 or that big 10.
So let's go back to 101. Let's go back to 101 and set the record straight for all the people listening going, why do these idiots name bucks? Right? Because I like to go back to 101 if somebody's just listening and go, why do they always name their bucks? Because you have how many 8-pointers on one farm?
Right.
5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So I always tell them like 8-pointers and be like, oh, that's the tall 8-pointer. That's the one with the short brow. And then it gets boring, right? So then we figure out naming them and whatever. And so it takes us on this ride. And then now we've all been doing it so long. Now it's hilarious.
Well, it's twofold, I think. It's identification number 1. It's mystification number 2. Because you want to give them some value, and if you name them.
Yeah. Well, I think when you get into
you're like
when you get into
that's Albert or whatever.
Monitoring of these deer, a lot of times with the history, like year over year, like you can't call him tall 8 and then next year he's a 10 and then next year he's back to an 8 but with kickers. Like, you know, if you're trying to make sure that you're keeping track of them, you're not necessarily naming it because you think it's, well, some people name them because they think it's cool and like this is like I have to have, you know, whatever. It used to be more cool.
Yeah. That was a thing for a while, and then
we just had Potts on, and he's like Willie. You know, Willie was like this deer. You know, and Wally was the twin that looked like him. Like it was that kind of thing. Now it's like, if anything, I'm just trying to. If I see him as a 2-year-old and he's like exceptional, it's like, okay, I want to know what that deer is at 4 and keep track of him, but he's going to change antler configuration. So I can't call him the clean 10 right now.
Right. That is a challenge.
Yeah.
It is a challenge.
Did you ask Stan Potts about that story?
Oh, yeah.
He told it straight up.
Yeah, he told it behind the power plant and stuff. And that was a great story.
Oh, that story. But I'm talking about the John Masakia story when he said, when I was all wound up on the pod where I said John Masaki, the owner of Muzzy.
No, we didn't hear that
in the
one.
middle of the conversation. Remember my first one where I was standing there and I was in the ATA show.
Yeah.
And can you guys hear that?
Yeah. No. What
hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Yep. That was my bad. First ATA show ever experience was Stan Potts standing with John Masaki, owner of Muzzy, talking to each other. Stan was under John's, money.
Yep.
And they're talking, and all of a sudden John goes, "Damn it, Stan, look at me when I'm talking."
You did tell us that. Damn it, Stan.
And Stan's like, "Oh, John,
give me a second, John."
And it was just classic, like, oh, damn, these guys are ruthless.
Yeah.
That was the first ATA show experience. So every time I hear Stan, and then from Illinois, man, I've been friends with him a long time or whatever. Don't break bread or hang out Thanksgiving, but funny. I got funny Stan stories. Always wound up. Always.
Yeah.
So I imagine I haven't watched your podcast yet with him.
Yeah, I have to check that out. It was so satisfying to get, and we got it early on, where it goes from, "Hey guys, thanks for having me on," to the big buck. When that falsetto comes out, you're like, "That's Stan Potts." And Jeremy and I just look at each other, and we're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like
it was basically just us sitting around a campfire, and him saying, "You want to hear a deer story?"
You want to hear a deer story?
And we're like, "Yes, yes, please."
Wouldn't that be great? Like that. That's the best.
Oh yeah.
To just have that whole prime time monster bucks, all those guys from back in the day telling all those original stories.
Yep.
That would be the best.
Yeah,
I would drink a lot of Coronas that night around the fire.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like, when we start to get into these, and it's, whether it's him or like we had, David Blanton on and stuff, you start to get into these guys and like that nostalgia really starts to kick in on a lot of this stuff. And it's like, I think people start to realize the kind of iconic aspect of it of like, Stan's been doing this a long time and we've been watching him on, VHS and DVD for, 30 plus years.
Well, he killed that number 2 in 85.
Yeah.
That was like
almost 40
9 years
ago.
before I was born.
It was almost 40 years ago.
My farm. It's right next to my farm I'm selling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We used to hunt across the line, and then right across is the whole Clinton area. But that was one of those ones that when we talk about state ground, that's one of those areas that's thousands and thousands of acres that the state went ahead and let up. That held a meeting and said, hey, if you guys want to still hunt state ground in Illinois, this is one of the greatest. Stan killed it on state ground at the time, and no one showed up for the meeting. They just didn't show up for the meeting. And then they went, okay, I guess the plant gets to hunt it. And they took it away from the public hunting, and just nobody showed up for the meeting. So those are ones that you always kind of go, like, I know that area really well. And you're kind of like, was there something behind the scenes, or, was, Potts was whitetail, North American whitetail traveling and stuff, but was there not enough people to show up at that time to keep that open? Because it was like 5,000 acres, central Illinois, still some of the biggest deer on the planet.
Dang, man.
And they threw a meeting, not enough people showed up, they hit the gavel, they gave it back to the power plant. The power plant now gets to hunt at their employees.
Wow.
Do
you think that was
almost sounds like reason to work there?
Yeah, no shit.
I have buddies that moved from Peoria to Bloomington to work at the Clinton power plant.
Just so they can hunt it.
Wow.
Make $80,000 to $100,000 a year and get full access to hunt.
So that's what's happening with it now is the employees hunt it. How big is it, and how many employees do you think hunt
it? 50, and it's probably, I think the last time I looked, it was 5,000 plus acres that used to be open to 100% public. Do
your buddies think it's still, 50's a lot of people, I guess.
He's killing giants.
Is he?
50 on 4,000 or 5,000. Oh yeah. But you got to remember it's around a lake. So like the access and it could be less, but I know that it's the only reason he works there.
Yeah.
The only reason. Played softball with him, knew him growing up, and like when I see him, I'm like, "Hey, bud, what's going on? Where are you hunting? Where are you? Your father-in-law Jeff or what?" I'm like, "Where are you guys hunting?" He's like, "Dude, I got a job with the power plant. They let me hunt." I was like, "You got to go through like a qualification test or whatever to shoot, and then I guess there's some ethics there that they got to pass, but then, dude, like they're on. It's a secret." It's a secret till now. It's a secret. People know about around here, but
you still got to get hired. What was I going to ask?
Dwight County is where it's at in Illinois.
Wonder what their vacation policy is.
Well, hell, man, if you start early enough, you could probably jump out and hunt every evening. You're right there. Walk right out the back door.
That's what he says. He's got kids at home. He'll either hunt before or after the way he's got a schedule.
Yeah.
He's just loving life, man. He's killed some absolute monsters. Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, they exist out there. Like there's, not as much as they used to, but like every once in a while, somebody will say something like, oh, so actually Columbus is one of those really good examples. All of the metro parks that they do controlled hunts on, but other than that, you can't hunt them, right? There's no hunting essentially. And like those metro parks are where these 200-inch giants are just staged up all the time. And if you could get a parcel right off of them, like you're in the game, you can kill them.
Well, speaking of that, because like it's no secret when Adam, before Spook was ever there and the Eskers were even hunting that, it was Adam Hayes, and like Jimmy Lee was my cameraman, and he lived in Pinkerton. And I used to look at these guys they'd take me through the park and they'd see we're talking, I was 19, 20 years old, and we would drive through and I'm like, you guys can bait here? You can feed here. And I'm like, why are you not feeding these giant deer across the street to pull them over here and kill them? And they have been like that for 25 years. Those deer have been there. And then, Hayes lived right there and he started killing them. And then you had Deer City, USA, and you had all this stuff kind of spawn off of that. And then Spook's been there. And Spook actually got on a farm that's kind of where he started I'll pay you if I can hunt this and then pay you more if I can kill it kind of thing. And there was this one farm that butt up and so close. None of us had the money to get on it. And he kind of came in there, and I don't know if he ever killed that deer that was there, but there was a couple that the eskers that were on that were, they were pulling those corn piles. They were pulling these deer 300-400 yards out of the park and getting them almost on the way back by a barn, by a couple trees in a field, and killing 2 or 3 of these megas that were on their way back and killing them. I would love for them to write a book one day when they're kind of done killing those suburban deer, because they really have been able to experiment with a lot of feed and a lot of different minerals and a lot of one time my buddy Ernie moved a car and he yelled at the deer. Still tells the story. Scott was hunting this deer, and I had a lease just across the road that Scott had with me. I got one of the funniest stories with that. But there was this car in the yard, and there was a blind that butt up against the house that he plugged his phone and computer into every day while hunting this buck on this corn pile that's in his backyard. And this buck would come up and he'd stand behind this old Oldsmobile car or whatever. And he's like, man, this deer won't come out into this open so I can shoot him. Ernie, I need you to come over here and get this car. So Ernie rolls up to get this car out of there, pays the guy, gets the car out of there. And while he's standing there, he's like, you better run. And he's yelling at the deer, and he takes the car off. And here comes the deer. And this time he gets there and he goes, where's the car? And he's dead. Yeah.
You know what Spook told us this year? Because I guess
I love those stories. By the way, I'm not offending.
Oh yeah, no.
It's like a kid game.
Yeah, he said that he's really close with the eskers still, and he said this year, I can't remember the number. I think it was north of 15 of their target bucks died of EHD this year. I
think they've been fortunate though in that area.
They have
for quite a while, right?
Yep, it was coming, but you think about, especially with the eskers, if it's a target buck on their side, it's probably north of 70, and 15 plus of them dead.
In what area?
Columbus.
All in the Columbus area. Mm-hmm. Wow, it did get pounded, didn't
Slammed.
It?
Yeah,
wow.
just
do you guys think there's anything I was listening to something Wells said. Tim Wells said he's got a theory. I don't know. He's one of the best woodsmen I know, so it makes sense. He was talking about how he cattle aren't regulated like whitetails.
Correct.
Did you guys talk to anybody, right? Or Jeremy's kind of in your lane?
Mm-hmm.
Cattle aren't regulated like whitetails, and so
vice versa.
Something I was hearing about the bugs that traveled on the critters getting transported all over that the cattle are immune to. But if our deer across the country are getting new strains of these little midges that are riding in some of this mud and whatever, and now they're not immune to it yet. But do you think that has something to do with it? Or have you talked to any pros that are talking about this?
Yeah,
there's a lot of mud on their fur and on their hooves and on their stuff, and in the beds of these trailers.
Gotta have something to do with it.
It's larva. Yeah, that would be carried in that, and yeah, it's USDA regulates the livestock community, and so and clearly we're shipping deer or cows from Pennsylvania to Kansas, and Kansas to Michigan, and Michigan to Wisconsin, and down to Texas or whatever.
There's mud and crap and all that.
Absolutely. And there's constantly new strains of the blue tongue virus. That is constantly coming out on that stuff, or the EHD virus. There's multiple strains of either one of them, and I think that these deer that keep coming into it, who we were just talking to, we were talking to Hunsucker, and we were talking about in 2012, all of us from Iowa to Pennsylvania in 2012 just got smoked with EHD, and it was kind of where the hell did that come from?
Yeah,
it was the first real experience any of us from the Midwest to the Northeast had from it, and it was almost like an overnight thing. It's never have we really seen anything like this before, and then all of a sudden, Smoke City across the board.
Well, what happens when these midges get out of the mud and they're in an area, and then we get something like the hurricane that's got 140-mile-an-hour winds?
Yeah, it blows them everywhere.
Yeah, 140-mile-an-hour wind. Can it blow? I mean,
Absolutely.
I feel that EHD hits hard, especially out here above my farm, up by Oak Run and up on the river. And there's certain areas that got absolutely decimated. But I've been on every part of my farm and haven't been able to find any dead. But it's always the stalest time of year when it doesn't get a wind to blow them around or
where they just kind of sit
or disperse them. Right? They just sit. And so I remember all these people telling me this year these deer were dying, and it was like September right after Velvet, and some of them right at Velvet down by Havana, south of you guys. I got a guy that watches my stuff, and he found 22 does and 12 bucks picking one or combine on one bean field. And that's just south down there. And what it was those are all the bottoms. So where we got the rain in July, it just sat in these channels out in the fields, and he just found them dead in the soybean fields. And those bugs didn't get up and out, blown out of there because there was just no wind.
And
no
then weather.
How much affects that with the those 100-mile-an-hour winds that come through in the storms and blowing them all over. Do we have anybody that's
probably not
that, or
I mean, if we did, it would be, what's insect? Is that entomology? Does that sound right? That sounds right. Yeah. So it'd be on that side of things, which I'm sure has not come over to our wildlife aspect at all.
What have you guys found out on EHD about? You guys talk to all the experts, and I try to listen to as much as I can, but a lot of it's just too much for me. But that's kind of your area. What are they saying? Like when one bug, that midge, that little no-see-um that bites me when I'm out standing out here, how many times has that thing got to bite them?
At least twice. Because there's got to be a blood meal that basically happens. So like essentially,
we're looking at nose, eyes, kind of. When they get their furrier coats more in October, when you see them lost, like right now, can it still happen? There's still bugs, even though it's kind of frost and freeze.
Definitely can still happen. In fact, I'm trying to think when it was. Maybe whenever it smoked Iowa 2 or 3 years ago.
Last year we were getting them late.
Yeah,
guys were still finding deer dying in
November. Yeah, so like it's just like anything. I mean, you get a warm streak. Here we are. We're in one. The midges have been suppressed, but the larvae can still hatch, right? So
those bugs come out of nowhere with the heat too. Like
they're in the soil.
We've had here at home, we've had like our doors and stuff open. I mean, try to use screens and stuff, but we leave the doors open for the dogs and stuff, and they come and go. Yeah, it's been great while it's been cool. And then yesterday it heated up,
bugs everywhere,
and there was bugs everywhere. Like,
it's a hatch. Yeah, it's just like if you're trout fishing and like there's a hatch on the water, you get a certain temperature rise and all of those larvae under the rocks just blow up. Yeah. Hatch right up.
That definite, like where they're biting the humans everywhere. There's a lot of them when I'm out standing in the cornfield, I'm getting in my blind and they're everywhere. Like that's gone right now.
Yep. But it got suppressed
in there. And you look out across the food plot, and it's just
you see it
dancing. And you're like, shit.
Yeah,
I thought you all the bastards were dead.
Well, there was a new hatch. Yeah, I mean their life cycle is really short, but it can happen fast. In that, like, okay, all the ones that are hatched and flying around, we get a hard frost or freeze, they're dead. Warms back up, soil temperature gets back up, larvae hatch, new ones in the air, get a frost or freeze, they're dead, right? And so it's not a continual stack on those things. Now, the thought process, and I don't know if this is true or not, is like if you think about our winters, we have not had like those deep freeze winters we used to have. And so the larva continues to thrive in a moderate temperature of the soil. Whereas if we had like 2 or 3 weeks of sub-zero, I bet the next year, nothing. I bet there will be no EHD the next year.
Well, ticks haven't been bad here this year, which has been kind of mind-blowing for me. Like I haven't had that big a problem here at all.
Yeah, we haven't either. I pulled a couple off the kids in Kentucky this weekend, but it hasn't been super.
Another beast almost, isn't it? Like
Kentucky's we're in the Appalachians. Like it is. It is what it is. But it still hasn't been nearly as bad as I've had in the past. I mean, last year I remember we were out just hiking on a trail and like we got back to the truck And I was like, Harlan got mud all over your leg. Like, get it off before you. No, they were sea ticks crawling on his leg, you know? And so then it was just like tweezers and razor blades for the next, hour trying to get everything off. But yeah, I really believe that not having those harsh winters has put us in an EHD cycle vulnerability every year.
We're supposed to get one this year, right? Doesn't a Farmer's Almanac say?
Who knows?
I don't know if that's ever accurate, but
who knows?
That is what it says.
November is warm. I heard November's warm.
Yeah.
I just had this question on my deal. I heard November's warm.
It's supposed to be wet this winter.
And then cold. Then cold December and January. Pretty cold. But I heard November's supposed to be, I don't know.
Is that in the Farmer's Almanac? That's where that's coming from? They give a month.
The Chris Brackett almanac.
They give a month by month breakdown.
I just made it up.
Yeah. I watched him walk outside, lick his index finger, and he's like, "Yep, it's gonna be warm in November."
It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, just the way it's setting up, because it's gonna be hot up through Halloween, and then we got like a cold front, but not crazy, and then I bet it heats up somewhere around the 6th, 7th, 8th.
So here's what I was looking at is
that next week is going to be nuts though. That'd be my prediction right now. First week is good, hit it.
Yep.
There's going to be a stagnant period between the 6th to the 10th, and then I bet it drops out again. So like the 13th through the 17th.
I want to say it was
you're vampire walking at the 13th, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're vampire walking on the 13th, 14th, 15th.
But Jeremy and I have to figure out, because he's got kids and responsibilities and stuff. Yep. We're trying to figure out how long we can stay in the Midwest, and if we need to like drive separate or which I'd hate to do.
Play the weather a little bit. In fact,
of course, yeah.
Frankly, the 6th and 7th aren't looking great. That could be right now
of November.
Yeah.
How can we see that far?
I think they're lucky.
Weather underground. I'm paying for. It's gonna get rainy again, like significant rain and warmer. So it looks good.
Okay. Is that confirming what I just said?
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th look really good. 6th and 7th are looking warmer and wet right now. I mean, I'm not.
Which is kind of the lock period right there.
Yep.
That 5th, 6th, 7th kind of. If I've got to write it down,
agreed.
If I'm working a real job, it's like 1, 2, 3, hard as I can go. 4, 5.
That's exactly what happened last year. You remember?
They just kind of, they kind of did their thing. They're kind of staring at them, they're staring at them, and they're tight. And if you're on them, feast or famine type thing.
Yeah.
And then boy, that 8th, if you ask Jeff Lindsay, that's his day too.
Yeah. So
that 8th, they erupt.
Obviously, we're filming this on the 23rd, but if I'm looking at Illinois or Midwest right now, the 2nd actually looks really rainy now.
Okay.
Which
is fine because we're driving. Yep. I was hoping that'd be the case.
Clear up on the 3rd.
And you'll be in the 360 all day long.
Yeah. The 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th look bluebird.
Okay.
59 to 60 degrees, 30s in the morning. And then the 6th and 7th look like it's warming and rainy.
Okay. And that's as far out as we can see.
That's all I can see.
Well, and that's similar to last year because we came back or whatever happened. You killed on the 30th. And then we hunted one more day.
2 more days.
And then came back. We must have hunted Ohio, and it was probably just stagnant, whatever, the first week of November. And then it got cold again, and I went back out to Illinois on the 8th.
Yeah, right before.
And I killed on the 9th. And that was with a cold front.
And I was driving to Kansas on the 9th with the dads.
Yep, and I met you on the
I was like the
10th.
senior
I met you
citizen
on the
van.
10th, the morning of the 10th.
Driving out.
So like for me, it's like 1, 2, 3, kind of take a break. Look, go if the weather's good or whatever.
Well, 3, no. 3, 4, 5 is what it sounds like.
This year at least.
This year.
Yep. Look at that thumbs up.
So to me, I just go like 1, 2, 3, and then I kind of back down, seeing if I've got this kind of lock period, and I kind of really gear up, looking forward to that 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and then I kind of gear down again. And if somebody said, "Hey, man, you're back being a mailman, Chris. You only get 1 week of vacation," I will always take and shoot for that weather the week before gun season in Illinois, which is going to be the 15th, 16th, 17th.
We may be there for that too. Yeah.
Yeah. The Illinois gun season is a little later this year. It's like the 22nd.
Yeah. Right before Thanksgiving. I mean, it's always the weekend before Thanksgiving, but I always pick that week because I feel like the guys, the big dudes that got outsmarted everybody, and they locked early and they just stayed locked, and it's Illinois, and
Yeah.
weather's not.
You also have the best chance of good weather. Like the later it gets, inevitably it should.
I mean, given
Weather
we're trying to project this stuff over a week out, but if you want to talk about break loose, so Tuesday the 29th is supposed to be 85 degrees in Illinois with high winds. Wednesday the 30th is going to be 75, but almost 3/4 of an inch of rain.
You're talking about in this coming week?
Yep, the 30th. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Next week?
Jeremy's the weather man.
Yep. The 31st, so Halloween.
Oh, you're talking about the front.
Yep.
Okay.
Halloween.
Thought I was missing something.
65 and 0.2. Friday the 1st, 62 and 0.2. Saturday the 2nd, 65 and 0.3. Then it goes bluebird and high 50s and 30s. So, like, I mean, if I'm banking on something and I've got some flexibility, that 3rd, 4th, 5th right now.
Yep. I've never killed one. I've never killed. Last year was the full moon on the 28th. I went out just to go kill him because I had told everybody I was calling my shot. Went out there and went and killed Dave. He's got the headphones on him right here.
Yep. He's listening.
He's listening.
What's up, Dave?
So went out, killed Dave, and then, but in my career, never between the 26th and the 31st have I ever killed giant deer.
Really?
Especially here.
Wow.
Just, I see them. They're always trying to get on does and get them in, but they've always eluded me, whether that just be my style of hunting, kind of just off of where, the sex bowl would be, or the thicker stuff. I'm not invading, dude. I'm not in it.
Yeah.
So you guys know my style. I'm just out, right? And I'm watching in there going, I'll get you. And I feel like you have to be in there, but I also feel that you can wreck some stuff right then. So remember, I'm on the outside just looking. There sure is crap not feeding. It's 60 degrees.
Yep.
But that November 1st morning is the first morning I go in. The first morning I'll hunt all year. And then those first 3 days, because I've left the mornings alone in October, whether it be whatever state, it's just always for me been those first 3 November mornings. And then even the 5th and 6th, I've killed big ones. So I think you're spot on. I mean, I think you're spot on with that. I think a lot of it has to do with, I kind of set the scene by not trying to get in October mornings.
Yeah.
And then November 1, crash it and let go. Let's party. You guys have had 30 days to do whatever stupid shit you want to do. Uncle Bubby's in town, and we're going, blood splatter and like.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Lone Wolf Custom Gear.
Man, Jared, we are tree stand fanatics, and I think the one thing that we have learned over all these years is to kill big bucks, we got to be mobile. We've been hunting out of lone wolves for many years, the original lone wolf, and then obviously with the custom gear stuff, we're using the 0.5 and the 0.75. Yeah. And the one thing that we talked about is like, what if there were no cables? Here we are.
I really just don't know how you can beat it, frankly. But, a lot of that came, too, from a relationship that we've built with the DePustos. We've had both Cody and Andre on the podcast a few times. The passion for hunting, the outlook on the sport and stuff, I think is eye to eye with how we look at it. Everything that has gone into building this brand and to building these tree stands is something that we want to be a part of.
This is the 40th anniversary of these guys creating tree stands that have been critical to how we hunt whitetail deer today. If you look over the past, you'll see Andre's designs being implemented across so many stands over the years. Such a cool thing, but really has changed the way that we all hunt whitetail deer from above now.
Right now, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, to get 7% off anything on the entire website. Be the lone wolf.
So, Chris, in your side, and obviously hunting a lot of ag properties and stuff, is there ever a case in October that you're hunting a morning?
No.
Wow.
It has to be the right setup.
Mm-hmm.
I just truly believe with this kind of the study areas that I have of wild deer, even the park deer, whatever, at the house, at my other house, I can just watch them. I can watch them so often that the odds on me killing a deer of the caliber that I want to kill, 5 and up, it's just such small odds.
Yeah. Which I think is important. Like when people hear you say that, because I forget which episode you just did here on the new show and stuff, but you were talking about the October mornings, and
freaked everybody out.
Yeah, I don't want people to get worked up and they're like, well, that's crazy. Like I've killed plenty of deer. And no offense, maybe 2 and 3 year olds, very maybe a 4-year-old. But like if you're trying to kill that 5, 6, 7-year-old buck, that's what you're referring to of like.
I'm referring to that.
Okay.
Well, it's also specific to your area and your setups because there are. What do you got?
I mean, these type animals.
Oh yeah,
sure.
I mean, my dream deer after hunting for 30 years, like those type deer, they don't stumble enough for you to slip them in the morning unless you have the perfect setup. Like I have a perfect farm that I can get into the back of.
Exactly.
But if you can get your deer, put it this way, if you can slip around them through the Miscanthus next year at the neighbors, park down the Miscanthus, get to the oak tree.
Yep.
And those deer out in the corn, then walk through the beans. You have 45 minutes before.
Yep.
But in October, to me, he's not doing a back loop because he lost a doe. Because if there is one in October, he's right up her butthole anyways. Like he's not losing her.
I mean, I don't see it happening like at our farm, for instance. Like if I was going to argue for October mornings anywhere, or even September, like for instance, in North Dakota, we do it because you have the river access.
Yep.
And the way that whole area sets up is they're coming off a big ag out in the distance back into, bedding near the river. So that's a unique opportunity to slip in the back door and catch them coming back. And it's September, so it is cooler in the mornings. You have a little bit more time.
That's kind of my same theory in the big woods, right? Like
it's similar in the big woods. Yeah,
I'm hunting the shit out of more, not all of them, like, mainly on the front type of thing, but mid-October. But it's knowing that these deer are legging a lot. Like
that's important.
There's a couple guys on the mountain that we're sharing pictures, right? We're communicating. We've got cameras like 1.5 miles apart, and we've got the same couple 3-year-olds on it, 1.5 miles apart. And it's like, so I can slip in and get in my stand plenty of time before that deer gets back to me. In fact, some of the time, like I'm catching deer in some of these bedding areas at like 9, 10 o'clock, on a warm morning, even just because that's what it takes to get back there.
Yeah. Well, but like if somebody's dream is a 3-year-old animal, like a great 3-year-old animal, and wants to do that for the next 10 years, and go hunt Octobers, go hunt October mornings.
Yep.
But if your goal is that, if you're the guy that puts a number between and celebrates a deer's birthday, if you're a guy that celebrates a deer's birthday, period, then you probably shouldn't be hunting October mornings.
Yeah.
If you're a guy that goes, I'm going to get a nice buck this year, you're an October morning guy.
Yep.
You're going to enjoy the leaves. You're going to enjoy the scrape. But if you start going, well, I passed up 2.5-year-olds. I'm waiting on a mature deer. And you're like, can we just talk about, you just want a nice 8-pointer or a nice buck?
Yeah.
Because you should be hunting October mornings. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. You're not hunting with me. Not on my little micromanaged little weird psychopath little stuff. But it's also why I'm not sharing public with you either, or some other farm, because I just choose that because it's America.
Right. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
I am no way putting anyone down. And I get clients that tell me, hey, my goal is me and my kids to each kill a buck. We just want to, a mounter. You're like, dude, do you know how easy that is for me to get you 4 3.5-year-olds? It's so easy.
Yeah, just let it rip.
Yeah, well, you guys can plant this corn, plant this beans. Do you want to shoot them over greens? Let's shoot 2 in October and 2 in November. How's that? That way you don't have to be cold. And they go, sounds great. And you're like, okay. You're going to need 7 blinds, and you're going to need this seed, and you're going to need to leave this corn, and it's really easy.
Yeah.
But people get really pissed off. They're like, October mornings are the greatest. And you're like, listen, Dick, I don't care.
Do they? I mean, are there people that are really advocating hard for October mornings?
Yeah.
They are.
Who?
They get pissed because
just general hunters, not necessarily. It's not necessarily.
What is the argument? Is it, hey, that's when I have time to hunt?
No, that's when I've killed bucks. And I've seen Chris make this comment. Chris, your comment to them is like, enjoy the 3-year-old, because that's what they're probably killing.
Or enjoy seeing the 4 or 5-year-old. He ain't coming back.
Yeah.
He saw you get down.
Yeah.
He smelled you.
Yeah.
Like you got to see him.
Yeah.
You killed the 3-year-old.
That is the problem, dude.
I love being your neighbor.
Well, think about opening day. Like, dude, when I was growing up, and this is no knock on my dad, it's just what we did is like opening morning, and I probably smelled like,
Everybody did.
I probably smelled
Opening
like a
morning, here we go.
whorehouse from the football game on Friday night.
Sure.
Right? Saturday morning, we were up.
Still got glitter on them.
Yeah, exactly. Shirt off. We were in the stand, my dad smoking a cigarette across the field from me, and like we were ready to kill a buck. And he, to his credit, I watched him kill a couple like 4 and 5 year old deer in Pennsylvania with a bow that way. I don't know how. I have no freaking idea how.
They were different deer.
Yeah. We were hunting suburban deer too. Like,
yeah.
This is maybe a super weird like side thought here, but it seems like it would be a nostalgic thing for you and I to do, to smoke a cigarette on opening, opening morning.
I can tell you like vividly.
Vividly.
We're just imagine this, okay? We're in this little cove of beans, right? We're just outside of Pittsburgh. There's a high school like right behind me.
I'd smoke an opening morning cigarette.
My dad is in his homemade stand, which was built out of a stop sign, right? It was a homemade climber, but at that point he didn't climb anymore, so it was fixed position with a ladder going up to it. I'm in a 2x4 built stand, of course. Like, why wouldn't I be? We're literally 150 yards across from each other, watching the same bean field. I have no idea what direction the wind's going. Like, didn't care, didn't think about it. Like, those were just the two stands we had.
Yeah.
It's just cracking light, right? And all I see is the orange glow of a cigarette across the field from my dad. And I want to say it's like 7:15, 7:30, like daylight's there, and I hear whack. And I see this buck run up and run back and go bloop. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? I'm 14, 15 years old. My dad comes down, comes across, he's got a wooden bear bow duct taped in camo. And he's still smoking his cigarette. And he's like, shot one. And I'm like, how? He's like, yeah. He's like, I was smoking a cigarette. I saw him coming. I put it down in between the tree, drew back 30 yards, smoked him. No peep sight, shooting fingers on a compound. Like,
what did your dad smoke?
Legend.
He actually smoked Winchester cigars. So they look like cigarettes, but they're like the 3.5 inch cigar.
Like a little clove or something.
Yeah. And that's what he smoked, was Winchesters. He used to smoke Eric's for anybody that's like.
Do you inhale those?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You're supposed to?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know.
They're like little cigarellos or whatever. Like you have them golfing or whatever. Yeah. Like, yeah, you can. They look like a cigarette, but we're called cigars.
Just a baby cigar. I don't think you're supposed to inhale those.
But they don't look like a cigar. They look like a cigarette.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, vividly, remember that.
I want one.
In fact, that deer, when it crashed, I thought it went down. It didn't. It actually went into we couldn't find it. We're like, what the hell? It went into the farmer's pond, and he had to fish it out with his tractor. Nice. It died in. And I have a picture somewhere. That deer, I shit you not, was probably like a 6 or 7 year old buck. Had a real big 4 on one side, real goofy on the other. Like I remember like being like, oh my god, that's a monster deer. And I mean, it didn't score like monster, but just vividly like it was a horse of a deer. Yeah.
Well, I think we should get a load of wood, and each of us have the same amount of wood, and we should be in a complete coverall orange.
Yep. Right? Yep. Pumpkin suits.
Get our cigar. We won't do cigs, right? We'll do cigars. We'll do cigars in our pockets and all set out Illinois gun season.
I think that would be a blast.
And we have to build our own stand.
Oh.
And we have to sit on a white bucket.
Yep.
And we have to at least smoke one full cigar.
Mm-hmm. I mean, dude,
that's pretty good to me.
The way people used to kill deer, just like, like that obviously is one situation. I remember being in like opening day at Pennsylvania Rifle. You talk about the pumpkin suits, and like we're sitting there, and it's like, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I smell bacon. Like, what the hell? And so we get up, and there's this guy, we called him Pap Tamarelli was his, and he was just like a family friend, but like, 70+ year old guy, like classic like Pennsylvania hunter and like the orange jumpsuit. We walk like 300 yards over, and there's Pap Tamarelli cooking bacon over a fire with his gun leaning up against the tree, and that was opening morning for him. That's how he hunted.
It's like a honey burn for the bears.
It was freaking nuts. Like we're sitting there like it's like epic, just getting like gunshots it's like World War III back then in Pennsylvania gun season. And I look at my dad, I'm like, I smell bacon. And he's like, what? Probably thought I was having a seizure or something.
I love it. How do we get you wound up today, Jared? Like, what are you thinking? Like, I know you are full blown psychopath, 30-year-old deer mode. Wife's giving you free deer pass,
Pretty
and
much.
you have tags just falling out of pockets.
Yep.
And you have your 80-pound Hoyt just ready to rock and roll. You got like all of your saddles and stands and shovels to dig holes to get everything killed. And I don't even know if you can concentrate on ice cream or anything.
No, ice cream's done.
we're
It's
closed
shut
for the
down.
season.
She's shut down.
That's off.
It's
That's off the
it's
market.
all
Like,
it's all
where
deer
are
from here
you-
on out.
Where are you right now, and how do we get you wound up to tell us about all your adventures? What do you see happening?
I mean, I'm wound up. I'm trying to stay level for you guys because I'm like, you guys are getting these.
Don't stay level.
You guys are getting these October
Chris
blues
Brackett,
and stuff,
dude.
and so I'm
Everybody
having
love
to.
or hate me, and I'm wound up. So just you dump it. Just let us ride.
Jared
with
dug
you.
me out of a funk yesterday, Chris, for sure.
Yeah.
He
Like,
said, because he dug me out of one, and it wasn't really a funk. It was just an old man going,
Bitching is what it
"Where
was.
are they?"
yeah, my
Like,
funk
where
was
are they?
my funk was a little bit. Where are they? It was also just like work and people just not doing their job.
Well, you got
and
kids and work and all this
Yeah.
stuff. I'm in this place where like
it's hot and
I own
dry.
a house and I own a farm. I told Jared, I'm like, I own a house, I own a farm, and if all else fails, where I live and all the other businesses, I'm gonna be living on that 100 in that house. I can pay that rent and I can deer hunt and do what I'm doing right now and be pretty happy.
Yeah.
So like I got to a place where I have this fail safe, and then all of a sudden I turn around, I'm like, okay, it's deer season, and then I can't find any megas to hunt.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
and Jarrett is Mr. Hopeful right now. Like
He is. He's a very glass
you are
half
gonna-
full.
You're going to keep the old guys here focused.
Uh-huh.
So get us focused.
Well,
Get us
that is my thought process.
Just keep the old guy focused.
No, the optimism of deer season is like it kind of just doesn't matter because like it's deer season at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and so like,
Jared is good.
you can't
until-
control.
He's good until Ohio Youth Gun.
Yeah.
Then I have to take the role of optimism to pull him out.
Yeah.
because all this deer might be dead.
Yes.
Well, they'll for sure be dead. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Well, but
So
you know
that's
what?
where the reins have to change. So he can dig me out now. I know come that time I take that
And
rein again.
That does suck. That is a bummer. But I can't change that. So as the years have gone on, I mean, that's why we bought a farm in Illinois. That's why we've been putting in for tags in Iowa this year and Kansas next year, is because I know that's going to happen. And the only control I have over that is to create more opportunities elsewhere.
Yep.
So that's what I've done.
And you've been improving your place a lot that I think will help offset that.
Oh, yeah. I dump a shit ton of my own corn on right before it. Like I try to beat everybody. And it doesn't work. I mean, they still go from one to the next or whatever, but it helps. It helps. So
the week before, do you get like a semi full of corn? And
it's all in my barn right now. I got like
tailgate?
20,000 pounds in my barn right now, ready to deploy.
out of the way.
Yeah,
Significant.
Yeah.
Hey, remember what I told you last night about the person that we both know? We're not going to say names. And no, he's not an idiot, but shit happens. Dude, deer walked again this morning with 2 holes in it.
Oh wow! Oh wow! He got it on camera again this morning.
Yeah.
You can say his name. It's Bobby. Yeah, Bobby Shaw.
No.
Why are we concealing that? It doesn't matter.
I'm not gonna be. We have to.
Damn it,
he's our
Bobby.
friend. Damn it, Bobby. We have his friend, but I mean, he's literally outsmarted this once in a lifetime world class animal twice. Got 2 shots on it. Hit it both times.
Oh
Deer's
my
not dead.
God.
Yeah.
And then shows up again, walking through the trap, and is gonna get shot again.
Wow.
Wow.
Epic story. I mean, I've shot a buck.
Nick can
I've done
censor
it.
the name if he has to. Beep.
Beep. I don't think he'll care.
Wow, that's
Bobby-
crazy though. He's put 2 into it, still walking and still committing suicide basically.
Well, they've been real bad shots, right? Like low belly. Like
Ugh.
barely skimming?
No. Second one, blackout, right? Like, so, oh, fine, forget it. So Bobby Kendall, our friend, Whitetail Group, sets up farms.
I don't know why we're hiding it to
He
begin
don't
with.
care.
He'll be
He
fine.
don't care.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he set up his farm. He made all of his traps. You know, he's into the Whitetail Group crosses with the things.
Yep.
Dude, deer walks out, dude plays with the stupid rope,
Mm-hmm.
walks out. He's at 20 yards, goes to 45. He'll tell the whole story. Comes to full draw, aims where like I would aim, bottom of the lungs,
Mm-hmm.
little far back,
Vitals.
puts it on him. Deer never ducks.
Yep.
Goes in right above the white, through, sends you a picture. I'm sure you talked to everybody else, and he knows I don't feel bad. Like they're deer.
Yeah.
Like I'm walking through it. You know, yeah. Don't jump off the bridge yet.
Mm-hmm.
Tracker John, which you guys need to have on here. He's
We're
a
going
great
to.
friend.
Yeah.
So Tracker John, get him on the case or whatever, and bed. And I'm like, dude, deer's still alive. He's like, I had to hit the guts. I said, deer's still alive. 2 days later, camera standing there, piece of fat falling out the bottom, hitting scrapes like an idiot, gets back on him, shoots him that next night. Well, this time in his brain, he's like, well, I've got to get an arrow in him. He doesn't know where it went, but he's like,
He blacked out, basically.
He said, I blacked out. He said, I swear the broadhead went in the same hole as the first time. And he watches him run.
Was it standing in the same place?
Oh God.
Same place, same hole, same side.
Oh God.
Hilarious.
And
Is he filming? Does he have footage of both of it?
he's got the first one. I don't know about the second one. It was a cluster.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
he showed. He's like, I got to get one. He just went into Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
You know, and he shoots him. He sees the arrow, runs out. Deer stops. Flicker. He's like, he's dead in there. Yes. So then I go to another farm, and I'm like, I didn't get invited to help him, but keeping tabs. They go down in there. They jump the sucker.
Wow.
One of his cohorts there jumps him, and deer now knows he's chased. Goes to a field, goes across, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, what do you think's going to happen? He goes, I think I'm going to get another picture of him. I'm like, no way, Dad. He's just sent me a picture right before the cast.
Wow.
And he's like, does everybody think I'm stupid? And I'm like, no, buddy.
No, this is what deer do to you, though.
Like I'm like, you got to enjoy this story, because I've shot deer twice. I mean, I've shot them a year.
What do you mean? He
asked
asked you if people thought he was stupid?
You know
Who
how you
cares?
get down on yourself like, I'm an idiot. And you're like, nah, dude, you outsmarted a world-class deer twice.
I mean, I always related to like to Winky's G4 double G4 buck. Like, I mean, you could look back and be like, man, that deer could have embarrassed. Yeah. Well, I mean, a
lot of them, actually, a lot of Winky's deer.
Yeah, but that one in particular, I mean, he got off, I think, multiple shots at it, and it, eventually killed it. But like, that deer wrecked that guy.
Oh, in that sense, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, damn near wrecked that guy.
How many times did you shoot at that deer?
I think 2 or 3.
Yeah. I remember.
I've had that. I got a deer that's not on my wall that got killed in my front yard that I shot a mile away from here when he was 6. And when he was 8, he got killed in the front yard. He was 207. When I shot at him, he was 175 incher. 175 incher. I shot at him 5 times in 3 different sits, and I wounded him once. And then he disappears, and I'm like, "Arr!" So for years they're like, oh, this axe deer, and like somebody neighbor killed them, and never heard anything about it. I move into this house, and then I find this picture of this deer, and I go, I know that crazy G2 secondary inside, and he's the same deer. And he walks through the front yard here at the house I live in, and got killed 207, 209.
Wow.
And 2 years later, 2 years earlier, I had shot him a mile from here. And so like, I love those stories. So whether Bobby knows it or not, he's in this epic story.
Yep.
Whether he likes to tell or not, but
it's a roller coaster. Yeah, all you can do is hope it ends, with him behind it,
Right. But either way, like, I want him to know, he should probably like, I would train him up to be, he's like, I just black out, man. I love outsmarting them. But like when it comes to the kill shot, whatever, I black out. I'm like, I think a lot of people do. You guys have talked about that before on a pod, haven't you?
Yeah.
Just black out. Like,
Pure terror, just buck fever to the max.
Yeah,
that definitely happens.
Of guys that are like really, really good, maybe not Chris Brackett, but good archery shots.
Has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
You can be a great shot, but like, can you control your composure in the presence of a mature deer in the woods?
Well, and a guy like Bobby, who obviously is also like a really good woodsman. Like
he's also killed a lot of giant deer. So it is
he's
a
really
little bit
strategist.
surprising to hear that
he's
he's still
thing
doing.
going on where he's all this correlation. Like we have a lot of talks, high end stuff about the moon and correlation of different stuff and whatever. And he's really hot into that stuff and stocks and how they correlate with human behavior. And he's just really geeked out on that.
Yep.
But then when it comes to this other side, he's just like, I black out when I go to shoot and I don't know what happens. And I'm like, well, that's probably the easiest way we can fix that. Like we can fix that one. We can't the other stuff. You can't teach the other stuff.
Yep.
You can teach the 3D target over and over and over, but I don't think I don't know. Well, didn't you have that with DeQuistows? Both of them. Both of them are not long distance shooters or
they're
archers.
not shooters.
Both
period.
of, yeah, I was gonna say both of them are not shooters.
They throw arrows out.
Sling them.
Yeah.
They're almost instinctive. They're both almost instinctive shooters.
Yeah. And when me and Andre used to hang out, like he made the Lobo, and he was like, "We're gonna shoot this year." Like I know Andre had a long time, and I've always looked up to him. He's the deer whisperer. Like when he was at his Cass County farms and teaching things like looking. If you want to find a deer really early, you go find the power lines, and they're bedded under them in October. Jump them one time and know where he's at, and if he's the one you want to kill, like he's the master. And then but listen to the guys with archery, and I'm like, can I have like a couple afternoons with you? I can turn you into an absolute.
It's kind of interesting. Like neither of them really have any interest in becoming a better archer. Not bowhunter, just archer. Like
because they're killing them. I mean, they're effective. Either that or they're just having an overwhelming amount of opportunities and like they're getting away. But I think they're fairly efficient at killing them.
Yeah.
They both just killed one within the last week.
I'm sure Cody, being a trad guy, like he probably shoots more than it seems or it comes off. But like Andre is basically like, he blows the dust off the bow.
They take it seriously though. I mean, they take the life of the animal serious, and like it's a real trophy to them. Like they wouldn't knowingly do anything that would jeopardize their opportunity to have it on their wall.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're gonna get it killed. You just wonder if those guys were operators.
Yeah.
I mean, just dialed operators.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how much dead giant shit would be on them.
I mean, they get
most
on
of my
them.
big shit are shot at long distances.
Right.
Like most of my big deer, I get one opportunity. I get an arrow in the back of the lungs of the liver, they're dead.
How far, Chris, are you shooting most of your bucks at?
That 180 was at 86. That dude was at 45. That was the 180 year last year.
Wow.
Dave was at 35. And then I shot 8x at 35. So if I go back when I was on TV and I knew I needed to kill 12 to 14 to make episodes and kill shit.
You were reaching out there.
If they closed 80, if they're closed 80 and were chill, I shot them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and people go like, "What? Did you think about it?" And go, "No. Had a rule. I hit on 16, and if a deer closed 80, he got shot at."
Yeah.
Well, dude, you guys, it's an important distinction, or it's an interesting one, anyways, between guys like you and it's not just your like the range you're shooting them at, but your entire style in terms of like staying on the outside, constructing habitat to create opportunities and stuff. Like, help me with the list. But Lakoski is somebody that I know has taken a lot of really long shots. A handful of guys like that, and
Levi.
Yeah, but Levi's not setting up farm. Yeah,
some of it is.
Well, he's got Genesis Wildlife Group.
He's setting other people's farms.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ray's setting up all his farms.
Yeah, he's getting them. I mean, he's He's shooting them if he has to, but even on his PA stuff, his big hillside stuff, he's going down in and shooting them pretty close. But when he's on that slam quest, he's got to shoot shit at a long ways. He's shooting stuff a long ways.
Yeah, 100+ yards on some of that stuff.
Well, okay,
but
fine.
I've never.
Fine.
The greatest part about Levi is watching his dang arrows fly perfect. Like it's an art.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So Lee is one I would say that's doing
fine.
that.
Put him on the list. I guess
Bill kind of did.
trying to identify. Yeah.
He never pressed
Winky?
in. He never pressed in on stuff.
Yeah.
Early he did, but he then took more of a blind hunting approach on the edges.
I would lean more towards, and I just don't know the deer that they've killed well enough to be like, oh, them also. Like the Kiskies, maybe. The
Juries?
Juries seem to have found a sweet spot. I'm trying to identify a class of guys who are like have manipulated their properties and they stay on the outside, and that leads to them more often than not taking and a lot of times successfully making longer shots, as opposed to on the opposite end. The DeQuistos, especially Cody, those are the guys I would point at and say they're in the tree above them. Like I've walked the woods and to be like, I'd be in that tree. Like I'm fairly aggressive. I'm looking for like a 25 to 30 yard shot. I don't want to, we talked about this before, you know what I mean? In terms of
you like 45 and under, and I think that's where everybody's at.
Oh yeah.
And me, if I can pull back, like at the one at what do you call your little spot where I wanted to back off of it, and I'm like, he's gonna come up
down in the honey hole. Yeah,
so we call it
honey hole, and I want to pull back up, get my wind up out of there, hunt him 5 more times and kill him because I have the time.
Yeah,
and I know he's gonna walk out this field. I'll just shoot him at 55 or 60, no big deal.
Yeah,
see, I don't like that. I mean, I really would prefer. I mean, 25 is perfect. 25 to 45 is the sweet spot for me. I don't want them closer, Frank. I mean, I'll kill them obviously at 10 or 15, but I just don't want to be that close.
No, they make you nervous that close, man.
It makes you nervous, and also if they're that close, chances are other deer are that close, and like the stakes are higher, and
so
there's more likely to be something go wrong.
I think that's a really good point because like I guilty as charged. Like I'm an in the tree guy. Like I'm in the tree that deer walks to my tree. Like, and it's, it's something I'm working on, trying to take more time, especially in a mobile hunt. I'm trying to take more time on a mobile hunt. Like, where am I going? But Cody's a great one.
Because then what? They walk to the bottom of your tree and now something has to happen.
Well, so here was where I'm going. And maybe this isn't for Cody, but DeQuisto there's another guy named Cody that hunts the A&F up here a lot, kills some giants with the trad bow up north. And not that I'm killing giants and stuff, but I'm usually seeing one deer when I'm hunting in these areas. Like I'm seeing one deer and it's the deer, or I see no deer. And so when you talk about like other deer and stuff, I don't worry about that. Like that buck behind you, that deer that had more deer with him. That deer was the only deer I saw the entire hunt, and he was the only deer that I needed to see, and when I killed him. So I'm not having multiple encounters to where
that's because you're hunting. That's your big woods.
That's my big
situations.
Woods,
Chris and I are hunting,
deer densities.
And you are in Illinois. We're hunting farm ground. Chances are you're going to see 15, 20 deer.
Completely different.
And he's going to be the
there.
very last one.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I think to put it in perspective, if people are watching, processing in their brain, the great part about it is in anything that you do, you are solid in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you come to my house and go, how far are you going to shoot that deer? And I'm like, I'm for sure sighted to 80. And like, if he comes out at 80, I'm shooting him at 80.
Yep.
Like I never have wavered from that. Confidence level has never dropped. I can miss him at 80 as I can 20. I can shoot as good 80 as I can 20. A 90, nah. 100, nah. But 80 and under, I've never wavered from it. Like if I can get him there and I range him and I know the range, I kill him or I shoot him. And most times I hit him. I don't a lot of times miss too much, but I wish I missed. If you don't hate to wound them,
sure.
but I'm putting them on brown somewhere. So I think that's the key is guys knowing the range and go, I don't shoot over 40. And you're like, great. That's fantastic. Like, thank you for knowing your yardage and thank you for knowing who you are. I don't think you wing them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like just being confident.
Yep. Yeah.
Like I know the minute I picked up this trad bow over here on the wall, I could shoot it to 20 yards. I'm scared to death to ever take one to the woods because I know for a fact there would be booners running around at 40 yards.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
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 For sure.
Yeah. That's kind of where, like, I think if I shoot one more buck like a good buck this year, I will take it out in the woods. Feeling like pressure's off a little bit. Like I really would like to kill one with it. I feel comfortable to 18-ish. Like I'm pretty consistent. I'm sure I could stretch it to 20, but like, 10 to 18's been very sweet spot for me from a grouping standpoint. Yeah, I feel like it, and it's more so, again, it's that kind of journey of like just where, like, I just want to, it's weird because like I just want to always make it a step harder with that, but being in the game, right? I don't want to make it a step harder because like I'm hunting where there isn't a deer that I want to kill. I want to be where there's a deer I want to kill and then make it harder to kill him.
I'm definitely not there.
I'm not there either.
Interesting.
I think if you're going to pick up a trad bow, yeah, you better be emotionally secure to not kill any more bucks.
Which is why I think if I killed another deer, like if I killed 2 bucks this year, like I don't feel compelled to kill another deer.
It'll never fill my soul. Like last night I had that 13.3.5-year-old Kickers Flyers stickers I sent to you. Like he did everything. He played in front of me. He ate the clover. He walked by. He comes by it at 8 yards, 10 yards, hits the scrape right there out the big window. And even with a traditional or a slingshot or a spear or a whatever, I went, God, that thing makes me puke because I know he's walking around and I don't want him to leave and get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And if a big one did that, I would shoot him with a gun first. Mm-hmm. Like I want to outsmart him and want him dead. Like that's all. I just want him
Interesting.
Dead.
Yeah.
Like my goal was to outsmart that butthole. Like period. I would throw this DeWalt at him. Like like it doesn't matter. Like whatever lethality that I can kill that animal after outsmarting him is what I want. And so I don't fall into something that's always irked me or bothered me, or maybe it's because I can't understand it, was taking a bow and a gun because both seasons are into a blind.
Yep.
And going, if we're here to shoot them at 10 yards with the gun. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Here.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that sliding scale of pride or, what I do that. I still do that right now. I got my crossbow sitting here for my nephews and my wife. And if I go hunt the hole, I can't shoot a regular bow out of it.
Yep.
And every time I go to these blinds, I go, what do I want to see today?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to have that little getting drawn and shooting the stupid thing at 20 or 30 or 40 yards with either weapon?
Yep.
Is almost harder with the crossbow, especially in the tree stand. And the lethality of both of them, I wouldn't want to be the deer, but what I've been slowing down and going, what am I comparing?
Yeah.
What is it for you guys that you're comparing between weaponry stuff? Like you'll shoot them with a gun or not. Like I don't care what weapon. I'll hit them with a truck if it's legal.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Pure Wildlife Blends.
Yeah, buddy. We're doing a lot of food plots this year. It seems like the planning, the preparation, like the coordinating for getting everything, in the ground is like it just never ends.
Yeah, and I just got off an 18-hour bender where I'm on multiple farms getting everything ready. But this year, fortunately, we've got Pure Wildlife Blends, which is Jeff Sturgis. Who better to partner with for our food plot program than a guy who's got 30 years of experience, been on thousands of farms. I mean, the guy lives and breathes food plots.
Yeah, and so the blends themselves are all handpicked by Jeff, and it's like, man, we've had a lot of conversations with him over the years, and he's been pretty influential in how we set up farms and stuff. And frankly, the product, it's in the name, it's Pure Wildlife Blend. So a lot of these other seeds that you see that are blue and orange and all these things, it's because they're coated with lime and they're dyed, and it's marketing at the end of the day. So we have a lot of confidence in the seeds that Jeff has chose, and that's what we're going to be planting this year. And so right now, you can use code HUNTR10 for 10% off anything on the website.
So if you're looking for switch, clover, brassica, or Jeff's favorite, favorite, Layer in the Rye.
Layer in the Rye.
Yep. Check out purewildlifeblends.com. So I guess the hard part for me, at least at this point, and again, take away like my kids aspect and giving them opportunities and stuff, is like personally for me, like I want to be successful, but I don't want the season to end, which seems very counter, the goals essentially. So
that's why I think that knucklehead hasn't killed in Ohio yet, because he kind of wants to savor it. No, Jared. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, as an old man, get in there in October, get you a corn pile, do whatever, get that flyer deer dead, get the big Browski or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you call him?
Browski.
Get him dead, get one done, because you got a pile full of tags.
Yeah. I know.
Because you're going to be running wild. From November.
Well, it's almost impossible.
Gonna...
We talk about that. I want to back up because this is a really cool conversation here, and this isn't disrespectful to the guy. I just can't remember his name. So I read this thing on something like
Alan.
that. I read this thing on Facebook, and it goes into the tune of like, I want it to be harder or whatever it is. So guy goes out, he's bow hunting, right? Has his target buck, okay? Does everything right. Buck comes in 20 yards, says, didn't even pick up my bow. I realized I did what I came out to do. He was dead. I just didn't kill him. I can't relate to that.
Dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
It is
my house and we'll go sneak up on one in the park.
It is the deer, like the deer that you have tried to outsmart. You have accomplished. He is there. You draw back. You kill that deer. Where do you go when you just say, yeah, I did it, but I didn't shoot him like that?
The DeQuistos, I thought, said that well. I disagree with him in a way. Like, it ain't over till it's over. You still have to kill it.
For sure.
Anything can happen. You know what I mean? You can have mechanical failure. And I would agree to a point. You're like, yeah, you got him there. You got him in front of you. Like, I agree.
You're stacking Jenga blocks, man. And people are like, I can stack Jenga blocks with the best of them. You're like, shut up, dumbass. They're Jenga blocks. Like, you stack them on top of each other. Bomar's one of the best right now, right? He's physically fit. He's mentally sharp. He loves stacking Jenga blocks and goes, I'm going to stack them the highest. And he stacks them the highest. He is right now. He has the financial.
Yep.
He has the I own beast broadheads and I have to go hunt.
He has the time.
He has the time. He has the greatest farm. He's got Skronsky's farming. His life is stacking Jenga blocks as high as you can get till you kill that deer he's after. And that's all we ever do. So it's the mathematical equation of that. So the number one thing that I hate is, look at this deer. You see this deer? Should I go shoot this deer? I'm like, you can't even outsmart that deer, dumbass. Like, you don't outsmart deer. You look at him on your camera. Like, go outsmart that deer. Take a picture like I did last night. Then take a picture of the trail camera, taking a picture of you and the blind, and then go, all right, do that to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm going to go kill him. You're like, you go hunt that deer will spank your ass.
Yeah.
That deer will spank you to death. And if you want to go take a picture of him and decide in the field if you want to shoot him, great. Like your 4-year-old. That 4-year-old comes running in chasing a doe at the Illinois farm. You better double check. You better spray paint him orange or something, because he comes running in there chasing a doe all up under you or whatever with that big wide sucker, dude. I mean, that all of a sudden then you are completely complex to you go, oh, this is what drives me. This big buck. It doesn't matter what age he is, chasing this doe, doing all this stuff, and you stick him and he's awesome. And you're like, yeah, I should have waited till he was 7. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like that's not so. Like, I got on a little rant there, but all of that is real shit. Like,
oh yeah,
stop looking at your cameras. Kind of the same reason, Jeremy, you and Cody are kind of taking that little right turn. And I'll be honest with you, mine is more out of, I don't care. That I don't have. I got 15 cameras in my truck waiting to go to the farm, and I haven't had a rain. So I wait till a rain. I put in my backpack and I go invade. No, we haven't had it yet. So I've been really scared to go in, and I'm going to have to go before this cold front and go deploy everything. But I've been waiting. And so I've kind of been where you're at, which is I know who's there. I know they got to be alive. I found their sheds.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 3 cameras out, and if they don't show up in those 3, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
And so I'm tripping balls.
Yep.
And so I want to outsmart those deer, but I want to outsmart them not with a camera right in front of me and then decide. I mean, like Dave died 4 or 5. Dave died because his ass did deer shit right in front of me with just giant antlers, and I killed him and had the greatest day and went, I don't care if he's 2.
Yeah.
He did everything I wanted him to do, and he died.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's an interesting thing. I had to bring that up because it's no disrespect to that hunter. I mean, do what you want to do. I can understand it if it's like, hey, I did everything and this really nice buck came by and I passed it. But when you're telling me it is the buck, specifically the buck, this is your season, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well,
it's no longer hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, and honestly, that was my comment. I'm like, listen, this isn't catch and release fishing.
Well, you know what?
It.
It does apply to younger deer, though. I mean, in my shoes, like if that situation happens with younger, not the deer that I'm at, because you got to kill them. I'm firm on that. But if that's my argument to guys who are like, I don't know if I can pass this young deer that we all agree and we want to pass or whatever. I'm like, to that guy's point, if it's come in front of you and it did the thing and there he is and you pass him, then in that case, I kind of agree with him. I'm like,
a bit of a checkmate.
Yeah. Like, dude, you had him. It was done. Like, so now in hindsight,
but that wasn't the deer, right? It was just like, you didn't put all of your season effort and thought process into killing him.
Yeah. So it's very different in that sense, but you successfully passed the deer that, hey, you said we want to pass. And in that situation, you can look back in hindsight, hopefully, fondly, and be like I
could have filled him. I could have filled tag.
I guess what I was gonna say is like there's 2 scenarios. Like he's dead or he's not, basically, if I'm gonna boil it down to black and white. And so if the end scenario is he's dead and there he is and it's not the deer that you wanted to shoot, then like,
so I relate this very much to
there's
like
a bittersweetness to that.
Our Iowa trip,
mainly bitterness.
We may be on right now is like, I'm not going to Iowa to kill a 130-inch 5-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to kill a mature buck, but I'm not going there to kill a 130.
Right.
I would be sufficient passing 10 130-inch 5-year-olds and leaving Iowa with my tag in my pocket still than shooting a 135-year-old and be like, oh, I did it.
There is a situation, though, I'm sure, that if he comes in and does like what Chris says and he's lip curling,
very possible,
breaking a tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm susceptible to that, too. And that's okay.
Boner patrol.
Well, I mean, dude, there's a possibility, and a very unlikely, but like in the next week, if I shoot another buck, I might also bring the trad bow to Iowa. I don't know. Yeah. Like, what the hell? Why not?
Yeah. Well, that would be like hitting one out of the park in the World Series in the bottom of the 9th in the last game. Yeah. Right? I mean, like, if you kill another buck, you're like, dude, I'm blessed. I've killed 2 big bucks. I got an Iowa tag. When the crap is this ever going to happen again? I'm taking the trad bow. And if I have a big Iowa bruiser and I kill a 185, with a trad bow, awesome. But honestly, if I kill my first 150 with a trad bow,
yeah. I mean, it scales.
I won the National League.
It's the experience at that point, right?
If you kill another one before then, you're coming to film me in Iowa.
Well, yeah, that's very true. Which is very possible on the way.
If I kill my 2 in Illinois, I'll come film you.
Heck yeah. Well, dude, I think your diagnosis of my mindset in Ohio is accurate, and I've been
there. You're just younger.
Yeah,
I've been you, dude.
You're just soaking it up.
If there was anybody closer to me, I've been where you're at with a bunch of tags and I want to be covered in blood, and I want antlers in the back of my truck, and I want my truck to look like Nick Muntz. Got antlers effing everywhere. And there's nobody that loves, what does Mike call them? The game hog. There, did never ever invite Nick Munt anywhere that you don't want dead shit in a pile. Nick Munt is put on this earth to kill absolutely everything. I remember on a Bushnell shoot, we went into Rockbridge, Missouri. We all met there for this big Bushnell shoot. Dude, Nick Munt, it was September. Nick Munt rolled in. He had like 3 antelope, 2 elk, and like 5 whitetails that he's never mounted. And they were stacked in the back of the truck. I'm like, dude, it's September 28th. And he'd be like, yeah, I just went from farm to farm to farm. He's like, everybody invites me, so I just go. And he just shoots them. There's nobody I would put. So somebody asked me the other day. Bobby asked me when we were talking about his deer. Who's one of the greatest whitetail guys? Dude, Nick Munt shoots kills more shit than Winter for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a killer. So I feel that you're in that stage, and all I'm gonna do is sit back and cheer you on because it's the greatest stage of your life. And then hopefully you just have stacks and stacks of antlers, and then you have some kids, and then you can go take them or take Jeremy's kids or whatever. Like,
take my kids.
You're in the zone right now, dude. Like, we're all watching you be in the zone and snickering sometimes when you know, it's like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get my friend. Who's your friend in Ohio that you wanted to get a buck?
Corey,
I'm going to get Corey a buck. Like, no, dude, just go on and shoot the damn thing. Corey's got all season. He don't have an Iowa tag. Just go shoot the damn thing. Yeah. Like, that's me. That's
it's more that than, I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. It's not like there's shit dying everywhere at my hand. I would like for that to be the case.
You're not there. You will get there.
Yeah. Well, it more so is like, and this is the mindset piece of it, is like, at face value, I would tell you like, yeah, I want to go and I want to hunt, or I want to go kill that deer. But part of me is like, do I really, or do I just want to keep doing the process of hunting? Like, do I want to keep going through it and like,
yeah, you like the grind.
I just like doing it.
Hey, let me help you out with that. Just go start shooting all of them. Just pick a seat, pick the white horse or the black horse, feed white wolf or the black wolf, and go shoot a whole bunch of shit. Corey's going to have a blast pulling your deer out, and he's still going to kill one after you season, okay?
Well, the problem is too, Chris, it's not just Corey. It's I got Corey, I got my dad, and I got Dale. Those are my 3 priorities. There's 2 other guys.
You very much feel the pressure of being the guy.
It's not a pressure. For some reason I do it intentionally.
I'm gonna tell you, without me knowing them and me talking to you enough about your family, every one of them secretly is like, I just wish Jared would just go kill one, and we want to go live through him. He's doing all this work. He's doing all this stuff. He's so excited, bro. They love you, dude. They want you to go shoot one,
for sure,
and you can help them.
They do for sure, but
they do.
You got to meet my uncle, because he is more like, I wish you would just put me on a big deer and make it easy for me.
But he's going to realize as soon as you shoot,
he does. He wants me to kill a big one too. Obviously,
he's in now. You're his guide. Mm-hmm. How cool is that?
Well, I am his guide now. That is kind of the thing, and it's maybe they're not asking for it. So, and I don't mean to impose it, and maybe I do that sometimes. But it's I just always will put those guys in front of me out of
don't do that anymore.
Not selflessness necessarily, out of just enjoying it and wanting to extend the season. But you're right. I got a pocket full of sunshine, as they say. Pocket full of tags.
I mean, because
Natasha
you're going, well, should I get? But I got to get them in. But and I'm telling you right now that the piece would go like this. If I walked into a camp and I was going to a place that had elk or whatever, and I knew that my guide or my outfitter or my guy taking care of me had killed on day 1, had killed his, I know he's on my team 100%. And I feel that, my dad, that going, they want you to come in and you have this goal like early October, Slam Fest,
It's a weird dynamic, dude. Because here's the weird one for you. This is how you just have to, like, I don't know. I do it blindly and with as much honesty and transparency as I can possibly produce. Is like, I'm putting those guys on deer that I not so secretly would love to have make it another year. I'd love for them to live to 5. But I also want them to kill it because I know they'd be happy with it. So there's kind of like but I can't do it for them either, nor are they asking me to. So it's kind of I'm steering them in the right direction to hopefully I want them to kill it. That'd be great. But it'd also be great if they didn't and it lived another year. So I don't know. I live in that constant.
Yeah. You live in this little gray area, and this is just my advice. I've been here.
I could have bucks dead. I mean, and that not in an arrogant way, but like I could go dump corn. I know exactly. Here's a case in point. I know exactly where these two bucks are. They're bedding. Like I think very consistently.
Pretty close to each other.
One of them I would shoot. It's a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Corn suit and go sit in the pile of corn and just get this over with. It's the beginning of the
with
year.
Googly eyes on the corn,
just cobs hanging off of you.
Yeah,
I have told you that I am an advocate for you go get this one out of your system.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have many years like you have right now. You need to go get your Ohio dead as fast as possible and get that monkey off your back and get that tag done, because
agreed.
Next year you may not draw shit and you might have a EHD in Illinois and life could be different, or you guys could be expecting. I'm just telling you as a big brother, go get the Ohio one just dead as balls.
Yeah, I'm not going to get Jared pregnant though.
Well, I'm trying.
Go dump a corn pile and shoot the dang big flyer buck, dude. Or go get I can't even say him.
Lebrowski.
Well, I guess how I feel about it is I'm like, I just don't want to.
Is it what? Why not? Is it the deer? Like, are you just like, I'm not turned on by that deer enough to like really want to go hunt them?
No,
Jared, it's a tool. It's just like grunting. Corn's just like grunting or rattling antlers.
I think you could kill him without corn if he put if he really wanted to go get him on this front, he's gonna kill him.
Well, it's just you guys can relate. I want to kill him the way that I want to kill him, and when the time's right, it will happen.
Well, yeah, but you're running out of time.
I don't feel that way necessarily.
See, that's
Not yet, homie.
It's coming fast.
Dude, freaking Ohio
you'll
goes
feel
through the
it.
first week of February.
Yeah, but you want to kill him in like jacked up testosterone. You don't want to kill him when he's sucked in and
but
saggy.
I got 3 Illinois.
Would you rather kill him come in like grunting and chasing a doe, or sitting on a corn pile in January?
Well, you guys are acting like I'm not hunting. Like I'm trying. I'm going. I'm going hunting this next 4 days, and my plan is to kill one. I'm gonna try to kill
Who are
one.
you gonna try to kill?
It depends on the weather.
See?
Well, no.
The deer only lives in a certain spot, dude.
Well, there's
Which one
multiple.
are you
There's
gonna
multiple
go get
deer
on?
I would shoot. Yeah, I mean, there's.
Well, I know where you're at.
There's
You
4
have
deer I would
two-
shoot.
Four.
But you have 2 beautiful areas that you want to kill one in because you want to take your picture on top of the dam.
No, I don't care so much about that. I mean,
It would be
there's
cool.
4 deer
See,
that I would shoot. There's 4 deer I would
That's
shoot.
me. I would want them to walk out in a certain place and paint and.
Yeah. I don't have.
I would rather do that.
I don't have that much say over it, just because, and that's because I have 5 other guys hunting the property. So it's very much like where do I find myself?
What's that look like in the next couple of days? So we got a front
Everybody's
tomorrow.
rolling in on. So
Tomorrow you're by
tomorrow
yourself?
I think it's just Corey and I, or just me
Okay.
and Dad,
Okay.
who I got on camera walking out of like a deep rut stand yesterday, 80 degrees with a south wind. So there's that.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad for you.
But that's what I'm saying. So like there's factors that are out of my
Sure.
control, even on our own property. So what was your question?
So that's tomorrow, and then Saturday, Sunday, the crew.
So I got out of that closing on Friday. So that's a south wind. So that probably puts me, based on the deer I want to shoot, and what that should put me in raise, or it should put me in tin shed gas line. Problem is there's 3 other guys that want to hunt tin shed gas line. So
Are those food plots?
Yep.
Yep. And there's shooters at both of them. But there's, I mean,
Is there part of you
lots
hold?
spots. I need a west wind is what
there
I need.
part of
All I'm
you-
getting is north and south.
Thinking that something's gonna show that's gonna be like, ooh,
I'm content with what we have right now.
okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy with Lebrowski.
Because that's one of the reasons I'm not real aggressive in Kentucky right now. Is like I've got a 5-year-old, but he doesn't trip my trigger. As
There's
much
definitely
yet.
some of that. There's no mega giants. The deer wise, the one that's tripping my trigger the most is the Trax buck. And
he's like a mystery.
And I have the least to go on. I'm working on permission to where I think he lives. So if I get,
but he hasn't even showed yet. We don't even know if he's alive. Kind of
No,
like
he
some of mine.
We've got
No.
one picture of
yeah,
him.
he did.
Oh, he's alive.
Which buck are you thinking of?
One that you were going to get permission on.
Yeah.
Where you think he's
No,
living?
there another
no,
deer?
that's that 180.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
he
that
did.
deer disappeared and I don't know where he's at.
Haven't placed him yet. That's who I thought you were talking about.
No, that's a different deer.
Yeah.
We have one set of pictures.
In that effort, I went and got permission somewhere else, and another really good deer. That's the tracks deer. So now I'm after him because I think he is it's in the realm of possibility more so than that 180.
So I have one farm that I've never hunted. That's kind of like Kirk's baby. It's got 6 deer on it, dude, and they're all giants, like old giant deer, but none of them are over 57. Maybe one's 157. And it's like, well, we could have already killed all them. And so it's kind of one of those years where I don't feel like there's some megas, or corn is not setting record paces getting out. It's record numbers, and I think there's so much volume of corn right now that they're not getting it out.
They're
here.
slow
I wonder
rolling.
around your farm how much is still
out. They're just somebody wrote me they just started picking
because you got
2
big
days
field
ago
where you're at.
You know, I don't want people to think, especially the 3 of us kind of talking about this, that it's like, listen, unless it's a super giant, like we don't care about the deer, because that's not the case. But it is a weird thing, like I guess whether it's history and or there definitely are deer during different seasons, you know, in the past that it's like, we talked about that mountain deer that I chased 3 years ago, and like I was obsessed. There were no other deer in my head ever for the entire season except for one deer, and I just played chess with him for 3 months, and I didn't kill him, but like that's it. It was fine. Like that was my season.
77 sits for Wolverine.
Wow,
77 sits. 1 year, 8.5-year-old was alive, and I was trying to kill him. The year I got in trouble, I stayed alive the whole time I was in timeout. And then the year I got back, I chased him and he outsmarted me at every lick until December 26th. It was 40 below. And I said, when I saw him, he would never, be standing still. He would always be moving. Every camera picture I ever had of him, and 45 yards, last time I saw him, he snapped his head and I put an arrow through him. But I could have shot a bunch of other big deer. So I definitely think that what you were talking about people hearing us talk like this, they have to realize that this is our lives, right? Or do they not realize that? I'm sure if they listen to you guys at this point, they realize this is our lives, and it's not the real world. And these 150s that we are not even paying attention to in October, all are on the radar in November.
Yeah. Well, and to that point as well, Chris, like it takes time to get to where we're at right now in your hunting journey. Like if you haven't ever killed a mature deer, why the hell are you holding out for a booner? Like go kill a mature buck. I don't care if it's 105 inches. Like go hunt, outsmart, put an arrow through, kill a mature buck.
Oh, well, I mean, dude, for context, last year I killed 2, a 5 and 6-year-old 135.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And mounted them.
That was a great season.
It was awesome.
It was amazing.
I had a blast.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where
probably do it again.
I have, and I hope if we do anything right on this podcast, even when we have these conversations of like these, you know, this is what we're chasing, this is what we're passing, people understand like it took a long time to get here. A lot of deer have died along the journey. I mean, I honestly don't know how many bucks I've killed. I have never kept count. A lot. And I say that because I've heard from multiple people, newer hunters and especially newer bow hunters. They're like, yeah, I passed these, you know, this 140 the other day. I'm looking for, and I'm like, how many 140s have you killed? And they're like, none. I'm like,
right.
What are you doing, dude? Like, why didn't you kill them? Well, you know, I'm thinking like another year would be great on them. What? Like
that's societal influence. 100%.
It is, dude. That never existed prior to 2005 or whatever.
Social or grip and grins. Or
never existed.
Whatever. No, it was just, and I don't know if they know that, like, if I didn't have these opportunities at some of these bigger deer that I had been watching grow, I'm the first guy that shoots these big deer that are way older. I have 4 or 5 deer that I have on my lease that have like one antler or one like hand, or they're all messed up. I don't know why they're all messed up. I don't know if it's a gene. I haven't, but they're trophies. But at the same time, it's perplexing to me. But if I didn't have a lot of time, or if I had kids, or if I had other states to hunt, I would just shoot these deer and go on. I think the main reason that I don't shoot some of these deer is I don't have another place to hunt. But if I went to a place like my buddy Mike's in Kentucky, I'm going to go, hey, Mike, what's the first mature deer you got? 5 years old? I'll shoot him.
Yeah.
And don't care if he's a spike.
Mm-hmm.
But on my own stuff, I'm going to try to get age and beauty.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. It's a wild thing. I mean, that's, and again, especially if they're hunting, let's say they're in Pennsylvania and they've only hunt Pennsylvania and you have one tag, or you're in Ohio and you only got one tag, whatever it is, like it is hard to say that, but they have to understand, like, you can't just jump the river, right? You got to hit a couple stones along the way to get across that thing. And I feel like probably, to your point, Chris, societal influence, whether it's social media or whatever, is basically telling people like, well, no, you can just jump that whole river.
You can run across it pretty fast.
You can if you have access in multiple states. You can't if you only hunt Pennsylvania.
Well, like, so for instance, I think it depends who you have come before you type of a thing. Like, I killed my first buck was a 2-year-old with a bow, and it took me years to kill it. I mean, I didn't kill it till I was like, I could drive, so I must have been 17.
Yeah, mine was a spike.
Must have been 17.
Same.
Well, and see, the reason I killed a 2-year-old was, I think there was antler restriction, probably in Pennsylvania. That was probably part of it. And my uncle was a big bow hunter, and he had killed some. And that was my thought. And
did you hunt like deer pretty heavily when you were 12?
Oh yeah, all the way. Oh yeah.
So for 5 years you hunted. You missed some.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I don't think I ever missed one smaller than that. Or if it was before that. That may have been the first one I shot at. I can't honestly recall. But that was the first one I killed. I have the rack at the house. It's like 115, 115-inch deer maybe. Maybe. And the second one I killed was years later, and it was a 130-inch 3-year-old.
That was in Ohio, right?
Yep. And it's never been smaller than that. And so I would say that's a pretty fast progression compared to a lot of guys who shot fork horns for years.
Honestly, it's a surprisingly fast. I mean, I don't know if I would call it fast progression as much as it is you were taking giant leaps.
Yeah.
Where most guys were filling
with years in between. I mean,
most guys were filling those gaps with spikes, 4 points, 6 points, 8 points.
Well, and I was definitely passing those deer. I just don't recall ever having.
Why were you passing them?
Because they were small deer. And I just,
it's interesting.
And I got that from my uncle for sure. Like, because we were,
that's where I was, I guess, getting at.
I'd
like,
go out and we would glass or spotlight even, and I'd see, we were looking for the big ones. So like, and we didn't even look at it.
Legal. It was legal. Disclaimer.
Yeah. Spotlighting was legal.
Yeah. Pennsylvania. It still is. Yeah.
Yep.
It still is in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, dude.
Can't have a weapon in the vehicle, and you can do it till 11 p.m.
Can you explain that? Because that's so Greek to me.
Yep. So
you use a big light to look at the deer in the field.
Yep. Q beams. Yep.
Can you have to have feet on the ground, or can you just shine it out the vehicle?
Right out the truck. Oh, dude, I was an over the topper. Like,
yeah, I mean, we used to ride in the bed of the truck, feed it through the back window, and so that all the kids would be in the back of the truck. Dads would be driving, and we're everybody's front yard, every cornfield, every apple tree for an hour or two every night.
You get real good at off and on between people's houses.
I'll tell you what, like November, like peak rut, and you're out there doing that. It's frosty on your face. You're cold. You're shaking, but you're like, boom, big buck. Big buck.
You know how many people don't know that goes on?
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's a wild thing. Well, dude,
it's a big tradition.
I saw it the other day. I kind of forgot about it, and I saw something. I was like, "What's this guy doing?" I was like,
"You saw something spotlighting?"
Yeah.
I took my kids out one time, and they like immediately were like, "We're getting arrested," and I'm like, "No, dude, like I did this every day."
If y'all pulled out a spotlight in a truck with me, I'd be like, "We're for sure." We'd
be like the Bill Maher.
Well, I remember being
is this legal?
I remember being in Ohio, and like a buck like came out. Like I was driving on the road, a buck came out. I forget who I was with, but somebody was like, "They're like, you can't shine your headlights on that deer," and I'm like, he's on the road. Like, what do you want me to do? Turn him off? Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't do it. I'm like, he's literally walking in front of the vehicle on the road. Like, what do you mean I can't? But it's like, yeah, there's some of these states are like way paranoid about it.
It's pretty Greek out here. I know Indiana, you can do it or could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could,
no, it's a big tradition in Pennsylvania. You cannot do it during the rifle season. So during open rifle season, you can't do it. And like I said, you can't do it with a weapon, bow, crossbow. It doesn't matter. You can't do it with a weapon in your vehicle.
Well, what do you think about this? How bad would that affect these Illinois Giants if you could spotlight their
I bet
asses
they
every
would
night?
be. I mean, dude, there are plenty of these Pennsylvania, I wouldn't say Giants, like 2 and 3 year olds. Moment that light even touches their asses, they're gone. They're out.
So do you think, like, so let's go down there for like 2 minutes. If you were driving these fields and you were shining these fields, these things are already damn ghosts. How crazy and educated would they get?
Super. They also would be getting shot left and right, I think.
You think what?
They'd be getting poached left and right.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't help.
It'd be, and I'm not picking on crossbows, but it would be, I mean, crossbows are a deadly poaching weapon.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
I don't think it would be crossbow. It'd still be guns, just like it is now.
I think there's a monster amount of crossbows poaching deer because it's quiet and it can shoot 100 yards.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
most deer you see in a spotlight though are outside of 100 yards.
I don't know, man.
I think it's guns.
If you hit these things with a light, you've seen them. What, you guys couldn't even get that one off the road the other.
Yeah, you have to nudge them.
The beans.
Yep.
That you could easily just cop flashlight with a crossbow in Illinois, and these deer wouldn't.
Well, not to mention, and like think about all the thermal hunting with predators and stuff. And you put a suppressor and a thermal on a 5.56. I mean, I smoked the shit out of.
Well, that's
a pile of deer.
That's what you need.
Thermal on a crossbow.
Yeah, people are using thermals on crossbows. It's legal in a lot of states as well. A lot of states it's legal. Having a thermal on the crossbow hunting.
What do you mean?
You can use a
like
thermal.
For pigs?
No, for deer.
Jeez. And I'm the
What do you mean a
poacher.
thermal?
A thermal scope.
What?
And they use it during daylight. Mm-hmm.
How is that legal?
Because they're just using it during daylight. It's just a scope.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it's pretty good in low light conditions, isn't it?
I can see greatness like at dawn and dusk. That's interesting. Are you sure about that?
Yeah. There are several states that it is legal. I think Kentucky, I'm pretty sure it's legal. Everything's legal in Kentucky.
Wow. That seems like handing a teenager
maybe Pennsylvania
nudie mag
now.
and a jar of lube.
Maybe Pennsylvania now as well. I think you can use it.
Wow.
Yeah, there's several states that you're able to use a thermal scope on a gun or a bow for legal deer hunting.
Risque.
But you still have to abide by the hunting hours.
Times, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we got any crazy topics?
I mean,
you guys got anything on your list? Any fun stuff?
I mean, that was pretty fun.
Well, when you put on a spot, no, but
I like the chill part of this conversation and getting in, we know each other behind the scenes since the last time that I was on here, but I don't think a lot of people get to see this side of me where I'm not all wound up.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Spartan Forge.
Dude, maps. Mapping, right?
Yeah.
It all starts with a map, a visualization of a new property, into the fine tuning of different food plots, different habitat projects, where those are going to go, all the way to sharing pins and looking kind of like beyond the layers with something like a LiDAR, which is exclusive to Spartan Forge as of now.
Yeah, and whether we're looking at it from a management side to put in food plots or switchgrass, or if we're taking a run and gun public approach on Kansas, it all starts with a map. It starts with a strategy there. You and I are going to have our own Blue Force team, which will allow us to run our own devices, but be able to see what you're adding or what I'm adding to that single map, which is really going to be critical moving forward this hunting season.
That's right. So if you're looking for a mapping software to try out this year, or maybe you're just like not getting what you need out of the one you're using currently, Bill's offered us a promo code of HUNTR20, HUNTR20, that you guys can use to get your own subscription up and rolling. Check out Spartan Forge, download the app, use that promo code, and we'll be using that this year.
Make sure you check out Spartan Forge.
Tell us about your new show and stuff and everything you're doing.
So I just decided for a long time, man, I was really scared to use like my last name of arrogancy or whatever, but every time I've had a conversation with you or anybody else, they're like, listen, you're the brand. So what can I do where it's just me doing stuff that I like? And if people like it, it's a different place to get to rather than doing like television. So I just came up with The Brackett Show, and I could talk about anything, whitetails, land, and life. And I figured I'd start out with like a Dave Ramsey type thing where people just asked me questions, whether they wanted to know about stories, they want to know about me getting in trouble, they want to know about my faith, they want to know about deer, they wanted to know about anything and everything that I had ever done. And I could have guests on there. And then I thought like, well, if you and Jeremy come to town, we could do like a sit down kind of a Sean Ryan thing, or like a Joe Rogan or a HUNTR podcast type thing, and kind of sit down, but that not be the main way. I knew if what it really came down to was every day on my phone, I got a million questions about quinclorac and XLR8 and 2,4-D and Liberty and seed rates and everything. And I went, the questions just kept coming, and I love answering them. But the problem is that I didn't have the time to answer everyone's questions every day. And I thought, what would be a good format? Is there anyone out there that is just answering people's questions, firing, whether it's live or recorded? And then that's where I decided to, run it by you guys. You guys knew I wanted to do something. We were trying to even do something together. And what do you guys think about the question format of the Brackett Show? And if anybody's listening, want to check it out, it's brackettShow.com. That's 2 T's, and YouTube and all the other places and whatever. But I wanted to get a non-endemic, outside the industry producer. You and I talked about it. Jeremy talked about it. And I think that's a fun dynamic. The guy doesn't know anything about hunting or outdoors.
Yeah, I think it's a good format. I don't know of anybody else that is doing like the Q&A with as far as answering questions and stuff. And you're right, there are a lot of those types of questions that even Jeremy and I, as long as we've been doing this, I'm one of the guys that's like, hey Chris, is this switchgrass? And so that's helpful. I mean, it's baked into, I think, some people's stuff, like your Sturgises, I don't know, your Higgins, we try to cover some of those topics, but it's not like in a Q&A format. Not at all. And so it's easy. They're hard to find, basically. It happens and then it's gone. So,
well, what I found the correlation and why I wanted to do it was, if you had 50 questions, 15 of them are the same.
Yep.
That week that's happening is like, oh, I got off work. I'm headed to my lease. I'm wanting to do whatever. Hey, what do I use? And you go, oh, I've got 20 of these same questions out of 30 questions.
Yeah, sure. How old is
there
this?
There should be a format where I should just be able to have people ask me the question, and then I can answer it, and then 19 other people are happy too.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I really love it. Like, you guys, I'm so excited because I really, truly feel that it's almost more fun than making really, really cool outdoor hunting television.
I think it is, dude.
I really love it.
Yeah.
I really love helping people. My mom was a teacher. You were here when she passed, this past year. So I was soul searching with that. And so when she passed, it's like, what would make her proud? And she taught for 35 years, fourth graders. And so I get to teach people. I don't have kids to teach like Jeremy, but
mine don't listen anyway. So
just like Jared.
Yeah. Well,
what?
What? Hey.
I think it works great, dude. I mean, it is. We see it even on ours. I mean, that Jared always opens it up of like, hey, if you wrote us an Instagram, we get a pile, like an overwhelming.
People definitely have questions.
Overwhelm in a good way, an overwhelming amount of questions, and it's like I want to help everyone. Like, people will send us pins and pictures and times and wind directions, and they're like, what do I do? And inherently, I want to be like, cool, here's how you kill that deer.
I'm just going to start saying call Brackett. And I'm gonna
there's only so much we can do there, right? Like, because I'm not going to just give you a shitty answer and be like, yeah, man, just wait for the front and get, I'm going to give you an answer as if this is how I'm going to go kill that deer. But I can't do that for 30 people.
A day.
Right.
A day. Yeah.
And I reference you guys a lot on there because I know a lot of the same people are listening to a lot of the stuff. And so if anybody hasn't heard it, I was talking earlier in the show about, referencing Ohio with you and your water truck and your water holes. And then I was talking about Jeremy I get a lot of guys from PA because I was a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I just have so many friends and people, right? So a lot of questions come out of Indiana, Ohio, and PA. That's our home core unit, I think, for both of our shows. And so I reference that a lot, but if people don't know, like literally you guys, there's a landline 309-761-5263, which actually stands for land. People call in, leave, and you can be like, I hate you. Well, I haven't had any yet, but
now you do.
I don't
here
mind.
they come. And here they come.
And cue the hate. No, but I don't mind if they ask me obscure, like I think that's the future of the show. I think it starts out with land and whitetails and life. I think it peels off at one point. Yeah, I get faith questions, but I get people going like, why'd you poach those deer, or what happened to you, or like what I see it going to a place where you guys are in town and we go sit to film one, and we say, hey, hunter guys are on the show, we're all sitting down. All these questions come in and they get to ask real questions that they wanted to ask you and me. And I see it growing to, I may have enemies and I may not like a lot of people, but if people are
metaphorically,
if people are coming into town, I will give them a platform.
Yeah.
I think Rogan's like that. He's like, I'll pick whoever the hell I want to be on my show.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Rogan's going to have Trump on this week.
That's going to be awesome.
Monster.
Did he confirm the Kamala one? Camel toe?
I don't think so.
No.
Of course not.
That was supposed to happen. I saw.
There's no way that chick would survive.
No.
Trump will be on it Friday, the 25th. And then
I kind of feel like, that's a power move. Like he's going to go on. If I'm her, I'm feeling like, well, freaking, I better go on.
Joe's an independent, right? Like he's not a Republican.
Oh yeah.
Like this isn't a favor thing. This is a hey, let's talk it out.
He definitely smells the rat though.
Yes.
Like he smells the rat on the other side, and he's wanting to get to like whoever wants to come on here. Like,
well, look at everybody else using their media platforms. The Taylor Swifts of the world. I saw Eminem introducing Barack Obama last night in Detroit. Like all of these people are using their star power. So Rogan's, I think, probably like, sure, I got a great platform.
Well, Jeremy and I debated yesterday because we were talking about having that CJ Alexander back on or not. And I don't care. The platforming thing is irrelevant to me. If somebody wants to use our platform to promote themselves and it's my excuse to get to talk to them because I think they're interesting, then great. Go for it. That's what it's for, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily apply to CJ. Like we have more control over that one. But in general, I'm just the platforming thing is like,
and whether
they're like, how dare you give this guy a platform? People already said that when we had you on. I'm like, well, he's interesting and I want to talk to him.
Yeah. And I think in the CJ thing, it's like, I don't know if I want to give him the or it's more so like you came on, you did the whole spiel, you lied. If I put you back on, like, what's to say that I'm even getting the truth again?
Sure.
Like,
Well, there definitely is a piss in your Cheerios kind of thing. Like he had his opportunity to tell you guys the truth or not answer some questions. He answered wrong. He didn't tell the truth. He kind of pissed all over and insulted you. So it's like, well, screw you. You don't get this opportunity. This is a place for truth. This is a place that we confront things, and like you blew your opportunity. Now you want to apologize? That's between you and God. Like,
see that
what is it? 15 years and 40 G's.
Some people definitely feel that way. Like
10,
like you're saying, like
10 years, 40 G's, and 5 years of probation.
Well, he's not been sentenced yet. I think I misspoke on that. So December 11th, he's getting sentenced.
Well, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, mine was 3 years and 30 G's.
Yep.
For a $150 ticket.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that about, because I see some of the comments that I skim or whatever. They're like, you guys feel insulted.
No, I don't feel insulted necessarily.
No.
I mean, I think we were pretty skeptical to begin with.
Yeah.
When he was on. Like, I mean, we said it 95 times of like, I don't understand how this could happen. Right. Like,
well, it's almost like the tone is like, well, he screwed us or he like, did something wrong to us. And he lied to us for sure.
It's one of our most watched podcasts. Thanks.
Yeah. But I don't feel like insulted or I don't feel
No.
taken advantage of
You
even
don't
necessarily.
have egg on your face, by the way.
No,
As a
frankly,
viewer, as a fan, you don't have egg on your face for having them on. You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
are a different dynamic. You're the only dynamic, I believe, in our industry that lets somebody go, oh, you want to dance on the table? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not
I
going
don't
to say
care
that
if
we
you're
were
an
the
idiot.
reason by any means because we didn't take part in the investigation, but that podcast for sure started the pathway to the truth coming out.
Oh, it's a
For-
big part of it. Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Well,
But he also shot the deer.
didn't help.
To want
It didn't
to do
help him
that.
for sure.
He also shot the deer to be famous, right? Or no? I mean,
I think that was the
I-
thought process in
No,
his
not
head.
to be famous. I think
isn't
To
that
make
the dream
money.
that
now?
thought probably
You would
came. I know it
do
did.
He texted it.
He texted it at some point. He's like, "This."
I'm
something-
going to sell it for money.
something about what they're going to be worth, or
Yeah.
people are going to freak over this. Yeah, that idea definitely would come into any of our minds.
All of our dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all of our dreams. I'd love to shoot a world record.
Yes.
If I shot a world record, nobody would believe it because I keep telling my producer to drive a truck with 50 deer and deer with genetics in the back and wreck it in front of my house.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen that? I just filmed a podcast yesterday going, listen to me. There's so much non-wild genes out there. I had a guy just call. It'll launch today. I gotta upload it to a podcast, or my guy already did, but I'm talking. I have a caller call in that said, hey, by the way, what you were talking about before about these deer getting out that you guys talked to Spook's Band about, he's like, this is happening. I'm telling you, I own the deer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know they got out, but they got out. I don't know how they got out, but they got out. I couldn't get them back in, whatever. I've seen it all the time.
I think that was a huge, I'd say eye opener. Like you always think about, but like when you finally take 5 or 10 minutes to like, as he's talking about that, to think about it, you're like,
oh, yeah, of course.
holy shit. Yeah. Yes.
Well, nobody wanted to talk. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Nope.
I'm cool with talking about it. You guys are now cool with talking about it, but because we talked about it, now everybody's going to talk about it. That's what it takes. Is it just takes commonality to be able to have conversations that go, do we care? How do we feel about it? What do you guys feel about it? Does it matter?
Does it matter? It is what it is. I mean,
I think it's different if you set out to do that, to execute something. To me, it's like if they're getting out to make the genes better, let's party. I said that before, though. I would love. The only way I think we kill 160s anymore, in my opinion, anything over 180 ever in the world has to either be influenced by some type of really good mineral or has to have introduced genes, because that 180 mark, man, that's just anything above that's just it's an anomaly, I believe. What is your opinion on that? Because I know,
it is an anomaly. Like we talked about it briefly. Like at maturity, number one, most bucks are going to be 8 points. Number two is they're probably going to be between 120 and 150 inches. That is the bell curve of 67 to 75% of bucks, probably. Yep. On the other side, you've got bucks that are 5 points at maturity that score 80 inches, and then you've got 12 points that score 200. Right? Mm-hmm. Those are the far ends of the spectrum. So if we're talking about the deer that are going to be even 160 plus.
160, man, is
you're talking about
giant deer.
My guess is it's probably 12% of mature bucks. So, and think about how hard it is to get a buck to maturity on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's probably of the mature bucks, which there are not a lot of them out there, 12% of them will be 160 plus. That would be my guess.
And less and less of 5-year-olds.
Absolutely.
I mean, 2 5-year-olds last year, and I just think
we're high grading
5-year-olds, huh?
We're high grading.
High grading.
You think, just to dumb that down, you think like across the, I mean, there's a huge spectrum. So I mean, I assume we're talking about like Midwestern whitetails.
Yep.
So across Midwestern whitetails that reach
maturity, say 5 years old
or older, that only 12% of them are 160
I bet
or better?
65 to 75% of them will be 120 to 150 inch 8 points, because that's just what they're built to do.
60% of them, you're saying?
60 to 75%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'd agree with that. But
and then you're going to have 12% on the other side of the spectrum, which is under that, under 120 at maturity. 5 points, 7 points, shitty 8 points. Like
I know that top end number is getting so small to get a 5-year-old into the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's smaller than it's ever been. You're
Yeah.
talking to a guy, just to let everybody know that's listening, that has spent his life, kids, no kids, all of his money, all of his directive, everything he does. I have roughly 1,800 acres in Illinois to hunt, and I know of one deer I have on camera that's over 160. He just broke off both of his brows. He's 157 inches.
Well, so that's what I was just going to say. I mean, if those are the numbers we're using, and again, it's somewhat speculative, but also somewhat research driven.
Well, and it's going to get worse.
It will,
because it's influenced by us.
Because
if
high
people are
grading,
shooting.
yeah, we're high grading.
Exactly.
Them. So if there were 100 mature bucks, I'm talking a 5 and older, 100. So just think of that, 100 5-year-old bucks. Number one, how big of a landscape is that? Huge, right? Like to have 100 mature bucks, I don't know. What is that? 10,000 acres?
Yeah, 10,000.
15,000 acres? Something like that?
Yep.
Okay, how many? Go.
100
I've got real numbers for you.
100 5+-year-old bucks.
Depends where you're at. I mean,
how big does that land mass have to be, Chris?
Depends where you're at.
So right now where I'm at with the park, 3,500 acres. I got 1,000 acres here, and then I got a couple other farms by it, pretty much controlled, right? On a given year, I could have 26 bucks over 5 years.
There you go. So multiply that by 4.
And
right?
3 and 4 of them are barely over 160.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I was going to say by those numbers, which sounds high now, that of those 100 mature bucks covering 15,000 acres, 12 to 13 of them would be over 160.
Out of how many?
100? Out of 100 mature bucks
16.
covering 15,000 acres.
Yeah.
You'd have 12 bucks at 5 plus 160 or bigger.
And those deer are way above 160.
Yep.
I think most of them are the ones that made it, and they're 180, 170. That 174, I can't tell you out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 deer in here. Out of 8 deer in here, 2 of them are 180. The rest of them are 167 to 174.
Mm-hmm.
They don't break 174, really any. Mm-hmm. These are most of my bigger ones, but they don't break 174.
Mm-hmm. It's a hard thing for people to understand. Like, and I'm not saying that on the other side of the rarity, you may have a couple 160 plus 4-year-olds, right? Those are the future 80s. So throw those into the mix as well.
Oh yeah, we forgot about 4-year-olds, huh?
Yeah. You probably don't have any 60s.
4-year-olds?
3-year-olds. 3-year-olds.
Oh yeah, you do.
Maybe one.
Couple.
I wouldn't go a couple. Maybe one.
Okay. Ask Josh how many he's got. He'd be a real world.
Yep.
Nobody hunting.
And we're talking 15,000, and this is general acres, but 15,000 acre block.
He's got probably 4 locked down between Illinois and Iowa.
Yep.
Bomar.
Yep.
Ask him how many 3-year-old 160 for sure deer, and he'd tell you. He'd know them right now.
Yeah.
I'll bet he's got 2 or 3.
Probably.
I bet you out of my 160s that are here that will show up from neighborhoods or get pushed by the end of the year, I'll probably have 3 or 4-year-olds that are 160 or better. But what are they going to do?
Yeah.
That sure as crap ain't going to live, because every one of them I get to 4 takes a little walk into an 8-acre backyard around here and gets smoked.
Yeah, it's just I think that's where, and I say that because it kind of ties back into the conversation you have with people where they're like, I'm passing a 140 or I'm passing a 150 hoping for booners. Like, you understand, number one, how much land mass a single booner, like, not covers, but just to produce one, how much land mass you need. It does vary by state, clearly.
Well, on my whole, if I don't know the number, but if I have access to 2,500 acres in Ohio, I would say, like, across everything, I knew of 2 booners, and both have left.
Yeah, so they still might be in a 30
somewhere.
Yeah, they might be in a 3,500 acre area. You may have 2. It's a large land mass, though.
Which is what, like 5 miles? I mean, square or 3 miles square?
640s.
Yeah.
Right? 640 is a square mile. 640 by 640.
Well, it's really hard.
Right?
It's really hard to make acreage calculation, because like there's other areas you could go to where they're way more confined, and mine's, I would argue, more spread out.
Pretty spread out, yeah.
Yeah, but if you would block that, it would be, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 square miles.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, though, with me having a non-hunting park, that everything I have is pretty close to a park. Peoria County is like that. Tazewell County.
Yep.
You would guess that I would just have top end everywhere. So now go back to the 80s, they were everywhere. Go back to the early 90s, they were everywhere. What's happening? High grading, I think.
Selective harvest.
Crossbows.
Well, I mean, they're just you just know you know that 163-year-old exists. And being a 3-year-old, he's going to be stupider than a 5 or 6-year-old. So he's going to daylight. He's going to get his ass killed.
Yeah. I had one in the yard. I had one in the yard that between here and the leases and all the other stuff that me and Kirk and everybody passed. He smoked a decoy at 4 years old. This deer was 165 as a 4-year-old, but had it all ready to explode, to go, mega 80s, 90s, and disappeared. He's dead for sure. No doubt. He hit every decoy we had. He ripped every tree. He was everywhere. He's not very many places he can die, but he's for sure dead. He had to drop through one of these little 20s or 40s and get killed. And then I have a deer that years ago I passed up that had 2 main beams off one side, 3.5 years old, in the 60s, passed him 2 miles away, walks out in a field in muzzleloader, dies. Guy messages me, we thought he was giant, killed him. He's ended up to be the deer I saw in Fear No Evil. And you're just like, oh my God, they can't.
They just die. They just die.
And then, but what about then talk about all y'all's guests or friends? Not all of them are my friends, but guests and friends. Look how many people have killed 170 to 200 inch deer this year already. Talk about my buddy that I don't like, old Mr. Seek One's killed 3 giant deer, and everybody went, Levi killed his biggest buck ever, and the internet went, meh.
Yep.
Did he?
Yeah.
How many other that we all went, cool, and went on with our lives?
A lot.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never, I went, that one's sweet. Levi left his family to drive 14 hours to go shoot a deer. You got 17 kids at home, man. Go home with the kids. Just shoot a 130. Who gives a shit? Come on, man. I've been there. You're 30 something years old. You got this family at home. Don't trade that hunting, that idle for that, dude. That deer's not worth it. That's big brother advice that I'd give him if I talked to him. But
dude, I think that's what screams, and part of it is maybe that's the pilgrimage I'm in, is and I don't say it disrespectfully or just to put anyone, nobody gives a shit about big deer. It's whatever trips your trigger, whatever makes you feel good. If it's me hiking 30 miles on the mountain and ended up killing a 110 inch 3-year-old with my longbow or whatever, that's the only satisfaction you have to figure out. You're never, at this point, I don't think that anybody will kill deer that long-term will impress the mass. I just don't think it will happen anymore. Skip had a giant deer, 230s, unbelievable deer.
This is your Ohio Skip?
Skip in Iowa.
Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa.
Iowa.
Yep, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
It was there. It was wow, it's gone.
Higgins killed one, and you're like,
nobody cared.
Meh. It was all the same week. It was boom, boom, boom. Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You guys did what you wanted. Sweet. That's cool.
Yeah. And I would expect the same. If we go out to Iowa and kill a 180, a lot of people listening to this will be like, man, it was unbelievable. Same thing they did with my Ohio buck.
You guys haven't killed a 180 yet, though, right?
It won't matter, though.
It won't matter.
Because it's not about the deer. I mean, that's the moral
it just
of the
matters.
story.
It just matters within yourself.
Hold on, time out. I'm rooting for you.
Sure. Yeah, there are a lot of people are.
First. Now, if you guys want to be a dick and kill 3 in a season, now I hate you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know
I
how
think there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people that
I killed 3 last season.
Not 3 180s.
Oh, not 180s.
3 180s. I'm talking about 180s. So I'm secretly, as a fan of Hunter and Jeremy and Jared, I'm secretly hoping y'all both kill 180 and a 200 inch deer in Iowa or Ohio, wherever.
Sure.
Once you kill one, though, that was your free pass. Now
I hate you for everyone you kill after that.
Yeah. Levi killed another one. Don killed another one.
Well, it's a loaded scenario, I think, because part of it has to do with, I think, the circumstance has been exposed. That's definitely not all of it, but like with Levi's, it's like, I don't care because I know it was at an outfitter, and so who gives a shit? You know, with your,
if you kill one in Ohio, you kill in Ohio, you killed it in Ohio with your fun little water holes, your Rambo water holes.
Yep.
And if this guy kills a 145 5-year-old in Pennsylvania in these hills that he's been showing and documenting and loving on and sharing with people and does it, they're rooting for him.
You also
I think these guys have forgot about the romance. I know from being a fan of watching Bow Life. I know of being a buyer of real world products from Don. And I know that I don't like Lee Ellis and Seek One, but me still watching and going, that's great. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. How many other people get it? I don't know. I'm picking on those three because I can for sure kick Lee's ass. Don's old and doesn't care. And Levi and me are friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So those three I'm going to use for examples, right? Don doesn't give a shit what I say. He don't care.
Yeah.
He's got Amish people. He doesn't care.
He ain't listening.
Ellis doesn't get it. He's too young. He's in the younger generation. He's got a gajillion fans. He's making a shit ton of money. He's getting married. His life's going to change. He hasn't even got wrecked in his life. One day he's going to get wrecked and realize that the deer don't matter and they're idols. So if you look at the three and look at that situation, they're not sharing daily like you guys are sharing with Hunt Companion and all this other stuff. And like I try to do. I film my stuff with my phone. I'm not taking a camera out and ever sacrificing my love for what I do with a camera crew or any of that shit. That I'm over it. But I'm rooting for you two personally. I'm rooting for other people personally that aren't falling into the idol trap and that are exploring certain things in their lives like you're doing, Jeremy. I'm where you're at. If I didn't have deer that I've been growing for 7 years, like I feel like I got to get Long Duck Dong dead. And it's the only deer I feel like I need to get him dead so I can close the chapter. Other than that, I don't really care about what deer I hunt. I don't have any other connection. I feel like once I close that chapter on him, or I know he got hit by a car or, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'll start new books or new chapters with deer since my mom's dead and my life's changed and I'm on this new journey with the show. I find myself rooting for guys like you and rooting for guys. I liked how vulnerable Cody was and his journey with his kids and
I agree.
His whole thing with his dad.
Absolutely, man.
There was some, and I know Andre, right? Andre liked me because I told the truth, and he'd have punched the guy in the face for me and I'd have done the same for him. I was younger, but I'm not really young enough to be his kid. Probably could have been, but a killer, a truthful guy when you meet him. And so we were always friends, but I love watching that dynamics. I think the dynamics of if the viewers like me, I'm a viewer, how was that road show when you went out to Iowa? What does that look like? What is this new way of advertising and creating?
It was awesome.
Groups of people.
Yeah. Were
they a lot of like sub guys that had their own little subculture that are identifying with dying breed bow hunter type style? I saw a broadhead that said LWOG when no man just killed his, buck this year. And like those little nichey things and stuff. Is that fun? You're not going to catch me in a saddle. You're not going to catch me invading my property, but I'll watch them do it. If I had 1,000 acres to do it, I would. I only got 100. I go in that 100, everything knows I'm alive.
I mean, we obviously didn't do it for this, but I think something, especially this season, that's been eye-opening as well as like a bit flattering, I guess, is like we've had a lot of people write us that said that they've killed deer because of us, which is weird.
Which the reality just means they were listening to us while they were doing it.
Or they did stiff because of what we've talked about on here.
Yeah.
No, you're keeping all we really want out of life as men is somebody to we just don't want to be alone.
We want to bro out. We want to bro out. That's it.
Yeah. We want to be affirmed by each other. You know, we want to be respected amongst the, you know,
we want to be
the community.
We want to be heard.
Yeah.
You want to
Jared, me telling you to put corn out and just kill that deer. Are you more tempted to kill deer over corn?
No. no, not so. No, I'm not. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
I affirm you. I think you should put corn out.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that I think.
Well, some people need affirmation more than others is a reality too.
I think that if we, you know, technology is what it is today. I think it's if we use it in the right way, which is here are, I don't know, whatever. 30 to 50,000 people are going to listen to this in the next couple weeks, okay? Mm-hmm. On all the platforms. Mm-hmm. We're all spread across the whitetail range, right? Mm-hmm. We're all hunting different deer, different areas, different conditions, different scenarios, different goals. But for a moment in time, even if it's just the three of us talking and then them calling into your thing, writing us via, we're all sharing a giant whitetail deer camp. Mm-hmm. And it's related to what is happening in conversation on this podcast. Next week, it'll be a whole different topic, a whole different discussion. But for a brief moment in time, we're sitting at 2.5 to 240. We all just shared a little campfire here, and they're going to go and talk amongst their own group who may not listen to this podcast and have a very similar discussion because of what was discussed here. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is very cool. Very cool. That we're feeling.
Well, I think it shapes the way you feel about things. Like there was a time where I listened to Rogan a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't at all anymore, Frank. I mean, I think it's great. I'm looking forward to that Trump one and stuff. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, like just that phase of my life is over. Yeah. But absolutely, looking back on it, I would say it shaped my opinion of things. Mm-hmm. The way, not that I agreed with everything that he said, but like. I enjoyed how he would have the conversation.
You became part of that conversation.
Yeah. Well, and then I could then form my own ideas about it. I was like, And certainly they were skewed because of his thought process on it. And I think that just happens inevitably as you consume, you listen to conversation, you know, and you're here, if you're tuning in for these podcasts and whatever, you inevitably will be impacted by our feelings about things. Mm-hmm. That's just how it happens, as I was with whoever I was listening to at the time. I mean, that's just human nature, you know, if it makes sense, the way we're saying it and the way that we're approaching it and how we feel about it, it resonates with somebody, then that's how you form an opinion. And if you feel like that translated to success in the field, then great. And maybe it did or it didn't, and you perceived it that way.
Yeah, you feel more attached to it at that point.
And great. And we're happy to be that. That's awesome. It's a privilege.
Mm-hmm. And like, I think people think that I have this manicured farm where I own this land or whatever, but that was not. That was
you do.
Not
I've
the
seen
last
it.
30 years of my life. What'd you say?
I said you do. I've seen it.
I do now. But that hasn't been the last 30 years of my life. Like, realize that Andre gave me one of the first lone wolf tree saddle, love swings or whatever Don calls them.
Mm-hmm. Sex swing.
Sex swings or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. At first it was this wide band that went around and it was gray, and I still have it to this day. Andre personally was like, hey, try this. We're thinking about going to market. It was right before he sold to the guys in Peoria.
Yeah.
And we took it to Canada and we were hunting out of trees, like on the edge of the tundra where the trees were only like 10 foot tall. And we were like 3 foot up. And that's what we flew in with, was this little assault and these little bitty saddles and stuff, and on the little platform that he still makes. And so like my butt hunted public ground. I've hunted out, you know, I've done it all. I just got to a point where I went, I don't want anybody to F with me. If I want to go hunting for an hour, I got a place that I can slip in for an hour for a perfect wind and watch a 4-year-old walk by and slip out. If I want to watch a huge bean field that looks beautiful and whatever, and corn, I've realized at that time in my life, I just want to go chill.
Yeah.
And or grind that way. And if I need to, like if you were here right now, I would have you help me hang like 2 stands, get them perfect and get out, and then wait till next week or wait till first week in November, go in, probably kill or could kill on both of them,
dude,
and enjoy every little phase of that. And so I really think that we kind of, start wrapping it up with the fact that they just need to do it the way they do it. And don't you, but there's a lot of garbage out there. Stay away from all the garbage.
Yeah.
You guys use Tink 69? You guys use Tink 69?
Not anymore.
From Walmart?
No.
Like, don't you feel that there's a lot of garbage out there?
In that sense, yeah.
In
that
sense, like, do what you do.
Dude, we got to get you into a Lone Wolf, a custom gear, because that whole hanging stuff a week before and getting out.
Do they make them big boy status?
They sure do.
I'm not a little light guy anymore.
Oh, dude. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, you got Andre's number. Freaking hit him up. Yeah, they got the stuff, dude.
Yeah, that's
that whole that thought process of how we all used to hang stands and then get out and then wait for the right. That doesn't happen for me anymore. It's like, where you're going. The tree's been trimmed out in years prior. Go in, hang the stand, and hunt it, dude. I hung a stand. I was within 80 yards of a shooter a couple weeks ago. I didn't know he was there. I just hung it. I mean, dead silent in where I wanted to be. He never knew I was there.
I didn't know Cody. I started following him 2 years ago when Kirk said, "Hey, you need to, Andre and you talk a lot alike strategy." Why I'm like, well, I learned a lot of my stuff from him when he was hunting with Ben Plattner in Cass County back then. But Cody started sneaking around and not getting very tall off the ground, and Kirk was paying attention, and that's how I shot that 180 last year that I lost, where I slipped in with one stick, maybe two. I was 5 foot off the ground, cut a couple branches with an easy cut, and stuck an assault and not an assault. What's the other one? Alpha.
Yeah,
I stuck an alpha in there, and 17 bucks. He was the 17th buck out, and I shot him October 3rd. Just took a little bit of hair.
Yeah, you probably need. You probably would want the. I mean, what do you weigh, Chris?
270.
270, and you're what, like 6'1"?
Yeah, 6'1", 270.
I mean, I like the small.
I would like to be 221.
Sure.
I like the 0.75.
Yeah, would you go 0.75 for him or 1.0?
You got to make. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, he's fat. I'm like, dude, I'm old. Shit,
you're not fat.
No.
Nah, you're
you
Italian.
may be more. You're Italian. He likes Italian.
Yeah, you are Italian, right, Chris?
No.
What are you, like Sicilian?
No, German. I mean, German, English.
No, dude, I'm German.
English. Huh?
I'm German. You're
German.
Oh, yeah. My last name is Prussia. That's like East Germany, the country of Prussia.
Yeah, Brackett English. So the Brackett, Brackett, were on the Crusader, the 2 T's, crusading ships that came over. There's actually towns and graveyards that are full of hundreds of Brackets in like New Hampshire. Like,
oh wow,
they were hunters. The crest I have is a whitetail and freaking farmer stuff on the crest. I always want to make that
my crest is the bird, the big. You could find it if you Google like Prussian. Yeah, it's just like a flaming bird. He's got just big giant. Right. I think it was called like the Polish, not Polish, but the whatever.
Golden Eagle.
It's a cormorant.
There's a name for it. Somebody will know.
Freaking cormorant.
What's that?
It's a piece of shit bird.
Oh, a big black bird.
Yeah. Dude, this trapper John that I want to have on here. Apparently, he trained a crow to help him find stuff, and it was like it would sit on his shoulder.
That's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, you would recognize him. He was on all the old jury stuff.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Dude, he's
John.
So he's a cartoon. He's a cartoon character. He looks like he stepped out. Like he looks like Yosemite Sam's brother that has the tracking dog, and like he's a complete character, and he's so brilliant. And I can't wait for y'all to meet him in person. But we can get him on if it gets hot, he's not busy.
Tracker John.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Like
what's it? How is he a dog? Use like a dog tracker?
Yeah, he has dogs and a crow. Crow's
Yeah, he
gone. Crow
rolls
flew
with
away.
3 bloodhounds in his car at all times.
Wow.
He wears this big white brimmed hat.
Yep.
He's got like
Oh my gosh. Wow.
he's got like wire rim glasses. He carries 2 homemade weighted blades, throwing knives that he's killed deer with. He's got his jean jacket on. He's got all of his stuff, and the whole process before going on a track is the greatest
Wow.
experience ever.
Tracker John.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Tracker John.
seems awesome.
And listen, when I tell you that he's good people, like
He found Beaumarsh deer the
we've
other
had
day in
Christmas
Illinois.
Oh,
together.
did he?
Yep.
We've had Christmas together. We've had Thanksgiving together. Because he's from New York. He lives out here from October 1 through January.
Wow.
And one of the coolest parts of his jobs is deer cadaver searching. So like he knows deer are dead that he couldn't find. He'll go back after the season and they'll grid for a couple days at each location. And his goal is to find the next world record.
Look familiar.
Damn.
On Drury?
Oh yeah. Yep. I've for sure seen him before.
Yeah.
He's found 5 or 6 of them. Sometimes, man, I'll just pay the money just to see him and have him track a gut shot deer that we hit. Like there's been times where I didn't look for it. I just went, hey,
John.
I got one hit. I know he's dead. Bring the dogs. Because the
Bring the dogs.
experience is so incredible.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'd like
Just
to
don't
meet
even
him. I just hopefully I don't need him in Illinois, but I'd like to meet him
Yeah.
in Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not far from us. Like while you guys are here, I'm sure he'll just he'll be running around and we'll give him the invite to buy him a steak or
Cool.
whatever. We can meet him. He's about an hour and a half from us
Okay.
Sweet.
in Illinois. Well, thanks for having me just chilling out.
Nah, bro, it's been perfect, man. This is it's exactly what people need to hear in the first week of November, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what they need to hear.
It's possible that like the day this drops or the day or two before, we may
you're not
cracking beers
How
over
many
one.
do you think are on the ground between the 3 of us by November 5th when this drops?
How
You think
many
I got
like
both?
between
You think
now
I got both
between
mine
now
dead,
and
or
November
you think I
5th?
got one? Yes. You think I got both mine dead by then?
I think you got one. And not because you didn't have an I think you're just waiting on the other one.
Yeah.
Waiting on a woman type of thing. Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if something comes out of
Yeah.
the park.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's a real big number. I think it's 1 or 2 between the 3 of
Like
us.
I would agree.
I think I'm going to go 2 because Jeremy's he's already scratched his itch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who do you think's killing?
I'm for sure killing his ass in the next 3 days.
Okay. Well, I should have known. I should have had that guarantee built in then.
Yeah.
What are
Okay.
the wins? If I get Souths, he's dead.
Uh-huh.
We have
Souths are
1 day of
right
south
in that band.
Friday.
Yeah, ours are kind of weird.
It's north, south, north.
So my number 1, I can't hunt on Sundays in Pennsylvania. Gay. Number 2 is Saturday is for the kids, so they're gonna be hunting. So I'm not killing anything on Saturday personally. So I will kill tomorrow maybe, and then I'll probably be on the shelf until whenever this front comes through.
So I have to find a stand and sticks that I have set in my barn that doesn't smell, whatever. I got to get in tight. You know where my 7 acre from my barn, my corn, beans, miscanthus, and then the 7 acre, and then the sanctuary down below, and then the top side's got that little bitty clover with that the old shadow hunter backed up.
Yep.
They're backdooring my shadow hunter because the does are in a non-walk mode. They're just kind of in a chill and browse situation. So they kind of know the jig's up in the box. There's somebody stanky in there, and so like I have to back behind that, stand up over, come in from my neighbor's house down below, right up into it, and then I'm looking at the corner. They think they got me in that box and that pasture and coming around. It's over.
They're gonna tuck that inside.
Anything wet.
Where is that?
Water.
Which food plot is that, Chris? We drove through all of them.
It's that back one with the
The
clover.
very one far to the north. There's a little teeny tiny one.
Just a little
It was
clover
through the
piece.
jungle. It was through the miscanthus jungle, the 7 acres of
That's what I
switch.
can't remember. This is at the Airbnb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's at my main farm.
Why can't I remember the miscanthus?
You don't remember driving through the miscanthus? Like just, It was just like a field.
Well, I had like 10-foot switchgrass, and then the Miscanthus is like 15 foot tall, and we just drove through. There's no trail through it, and there's a little baby tucked in.
Yeah. And you were talking about putting a water hole in it.
That's the one.
That's the one.
The video that I posted on Instagram last night that he came out, and since we got that rain yesterday, he literally went over to the hole and told me. It was like he looked at me and was like, "Hey, this needs where the hell's the water?
Could use a drink here.
Could use a drink here, dude."
He literally was licking the mud because it was running. That was a runoff because I had killed it all, and all the water ran off and it created it. But I need my water hole expert over there.
The water hole expert.
Yeah.
Just fill it, dig it, and fill it.
It's Illinois, like it's all clay. So we do limestone. We just put it in there. But he literally went over there, went down there and licked. And I was like, damn, it just needs to be a water hole. So
do you think, real quick on that, do you think, you said there's a lot of clay in the dirt out there?
Our whole state is limestone. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what all those quarries are. They're
Is that good or bad? Is there clay with that or?
Well, that's why that lake's so pretty.
Well, I guess my question is, like, do you think if you go dig a hole, will it hold water?
Yeah, I can go dig it. And as soon as we had water,
Really? What about on our farm? Do you think we could be pretty successful? Like if I rented
You're 100% water. You'll never find a place more easy to put water.
Wow.
Yep. Because you have a foot to 16 inches of topsoil, and then your higher stuff will be all clay.
Yeah, the lower stuff's probably more loamy down there.
Well, look at your ditches. They're straight up and down 8 feet. It's cut right through the clay.
Yep.
On those on that clay stuff.
That's something maybe to consider next year. There's a few spots I can think of.
Always projects.
I mean, when we think about that, I watched that one show of Lee's on the crush, and he was making his banks really steep to keep less mud. One of the reasons why I think you guys don't have a lot of mud, because your banks are so steep.
Super steep. Yeah, hard to get up, honestly.
So that was one thing, Lee's brain's kind of engineering and a little out there. And he was talking about him building his water holes and doing them really steep to give less surface area for the midges.
That would make sense.
You said midges.
Midges.
Midget. Yeah, not midgets.
Yeah, right.
They can't get up the steep bank either.
Yeah, I could see a steep bank being a problem.
Yeah, they can't get up either. So,
where do you think? Okay, I'm gonna get him dead as soon as I can get a stand hung.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. I would assume
text your buddy Andre and say you need.
I'd assume one of us is going to kill one in Illinois in the first couple days.
I think so too.
The third or fourth, one of us.
I'm optimistic about Ohio, but like I said,
my Pennsylvania's a crapshoot right now. But
I think if you include the other guys in my group,
somebody will.
We're going to kill one in the next 4 days.
Okay, I want to tell everybody that's listening, if they're like planning their deal and they're feeling like November 5th, they got their butts kicked already. We believe right now, go hunt, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are some of my favorites.
Yep.
And could be rainy. Could be rainy. That's the only thing we're not sure of yet.
Which super scouty, right? Super scouty when it's raining.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
fresh sign. What do you get?
Rainy equals scouty
again. And then if I got to talk about the vampire walk, man, that's the fit. The moon will be overhead at like 5:25 on the 15th, which gives you the whole 15th, the 14th, and even the 13th. I don't think I'm getting out of the tree on those 3 days.
I think the 11th through the 16th of November are very underrated for hunts.
I think we're looking at something that we haven't maybe seen in a couple of years if we get the weather. Right?
Yeah. If it's 80 degrees, that's a different ball.
Right before that full moon is just, if we get the weather with that full moon, that means we got pressure. We got
when is the full moon?
We got 4 out of
Friday, the 15th.
And you that's your vampire 48 hours before?
48 hours before. For some reason, they're just weird.
Dude, did I tell you, or did you hear me talk about on a couple podcasts ago? You had just dropped something about the vampire walk, and that was the first time I listened to it or heard it correctly.
I was on your butt last year about it, and you're like, "Man, we'll see."
Well, I didn't really see it then. You told me, and I was like, this year, that Lebrowski deer showed up 48 hours before the full moon.
2:30.
And that night I saw
you had flyer and
all three of them.
And the 7 point was on the other one.
All three
and
of them.
that was on the 14th.
All three of them. Yeah, dude, that was kind of wild.
Yeah, the 14th. And then and realize if you go back and look at that moon was on the 17th in the morning. So the 48 hours was on your day there on that 14th, 15th was more what it was. And it was, and that this time, because we had the cold front, there was a 3-day movement. So when you get I think it's the same thing. If I had to pick days, I'm never picking on the dark side of the moon. It's horrible.
Sure.
I don't know why, but they're definitely lunar little creatures. We've talked about it before, but you know what he's doing. Well, I appreciate it. I can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah,
we
man.
have the Airbnb all month of November. Nobody's even booked.
Sweet.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Omar's got another tag. Maybe we can have a deer camp.
Yeah.
All for it, dude.
Yeah, I like it. All right, brother. Well,
thank you.
Good luck. We appreciate it.
Be safe on your drive.
Thanks, dude. See ya. The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Better Backstrap.
Well, one thing that's undeniable, man, is you and I both like to eat. And so we're going to be partnering with the Better Backstrap this year to have the best seasonings possible for our meat this summer.
Yeah. Well, dude, when it comes to venison, it's like you've heard me talk about before. It's like, what does the preparation for all this look like and stuff? And it's like, I really want to make a point of eating more venison moving forward. And some of the Better Backstrap mixtures have made it super easy.
Yeah. And so we've got kind of 3 core mixtures. You've got your original Better Backstrap, which is for that grilling of your backstrap or tenderloins or anything like that. You've got your classic taco mix.
Always can't go wrong with tacos.
Can't go wrong with that. And then you've got your standard SPG in the orange can.
Well, SPG and down the hatch.
There you go. So right now, if you go to betterbackstrap.com, you can use the code HUNTR15, get 15% off any of your orders on the seasonings, and there'll probably be more coming out here throughout the year.
Get yourself a Better Backstrap.
First week in November, Chris Brackett, just chilling, talking big deer, talking good stuff. Having fun, enjoying
it's crazy
it.
how time flies. It's been a year, I think, since we had him on last. And
Which we see or talk to Chris a bunch.
Yeah, it's been really helpful on our Illinois farm. He's been very generous with his equipment and stuff. And,
huge help.
And freaking dude knows what he's talking about. So.
He does. Yeah, it's cool, man. And I really enjoy kind of hearing Chris being on this kind of new leaf of like just new venture, new thoughts on things, new outlook on stuff, and. It's refreshing. Yeah, just because I think that, maybe you, whether it's the Indiana incident that doesn't have you liking Chris or like, maybe it's a style. The one thing that you cannot deny is Chris Brackett has zero filter. And he will tell you how it is. And I've really liked watching some of his new show stuff because people will comment on there just straight out and tell him Chris is an idiot. And his rebuttals are freaking hilarious.
They're honest.
They are so honest.
Yeah. He's definitely over it.
They're so honest that everybody that reads them has to be like, yes, that's exactly what it is. He's right. So it's cool. And obviously, a conversation like that just feels like we're at a deer camp, just kind of shooting the shit, which we probably will have that same conversation at some point. But anyways, we appreciate everyone listening to episode 216. With Chris Brackett. Hopefully either you just saw a live from deer camp in the Midwest from Jared and I, or you're about to see one. I don't know which one it'll be. It'll just kind of depend on how things go, but we'll catch y'all next week.
Later.
Take me